You're watching a review on the Ian Medham channel. Remember to follow and hit the bell to get notified of new videos. Now, let's get into the video. Scribble, scribble. The sound of chalk writing on the large blackboard echoed. The person had just finished writing his name on the board when he heard the teacher say with a smile, "Please introduce yourself to the class." The little puppy turned his head to look down at the students. His innocent, childlike voice rang out, "Hi everyone, I'm Liu. Starting today, I'll be a student here. In middle school, I was in the track and field club. Now I'm also interested in joining other clubs. My subspecies is..." Liu paused at this point, as if he were a skipping record. Then, he struggled to say the last word. Wolf. Actually, the boy. It was understandable that he got stuck at such a crucial moment. Because his subspecies is actually a dog, not a wolf at all. The reason for this lie began this morning. Liu was already neatly dressed, had his shoes on, and was ready for school. But his older brother was still secretly tinkering with something, not letting him leave just yet. Liu turned his head, frowning slightly, urging his brother to hurry up. "I don't want to be late on my first day at a new school." Although Liu was complaining, he actually knew for sure. His older brother was worried again, afraid he'd be bullied by the carnivorous animals at school, so he was probably preparing some bizarre idea. While waiting for his older brother, Liu decided to give a brief introduction about the world he lives in. This country is called Bestia, a nation of beastmen. This nation is inhabited by all sorts of animal species, which are divided into three main groups: carnivores, omnivores, and herbivores. First, beastmen have many different subspecies, which are the characteristics of their animal counterparts. To a certain extent, the subspecies can influence a beastman's personality and habits. The position in the food chain and the racial suppression between animals in the wild also manifest themselves in beastman society. For example, a rabbit will always be afraid when standing before the king of the jungle. Besides that, beastmen also have another animal characteristic: pheromones, which come from the gland on the back of every beastman's neck. It's where they release their own personal scent, used to mark territory and attract a mate. Of course, with pheromones, every beastman will also have a heat period each year, also known as estrus. Although society has modernized, and there are many types of suppressants, to get through this special time for beastmen, completely eliminating physiological instincts is not an easy thing to do. Liu rested his chin on his hand and sighed deeply. He knew his older brother was worried about him, but he wasn't a herbivore. He wasn't that easy to bully. Just as Liu finished that thought, the door behind him swung open. His older brother appeared, looking like the ultimate homemaker. His name is Li Hui, 20 years old this year. An apron was still tied around him, and in his hands, he held a homemade weapon, a studded club, wanting to give it to his younger brother for school. "Liu looked at that thing and his puppy fur wanted to stand on end. I'm going to school, not getting ready for a gang fight. Why would you give me this? If I bring this, I'll be suspected of being a menace to society. Before I can even defend myself, I'll be handcuffed and taken to the station for a chat with the cops." His brother heard this but still refused to give up. Recently, there have been many cases of carnivorous beastmen imprisoning young boys on the news. The world out there is so dangerous. I don't feel safe letting my little brother go out without anything to protect himself. He imagined his little brother with a dog collar around his neck, being debased to the point of barking woof woof. The thought alone made his blood pressure drop from fear. Liu was at his wit's end with his older brother. He immediately made an X with his hands to refuse then and there. "I'm going to school." Something like that would absolutely never happen at school. The little puppy was tired of persuading him. He just had to open the door and make a run for it. Before leaving, he reassured his brother, "Don't worry anymore. If I brought that to school, I'd be the one scaring people." His older brother strongly disagreed. "That's exactly why you have to bring it, because it's intimidating." Seeing that his younger brother had already reached the door and was determined not to bring the weapon, Li Hui could only switch to plan B. "If you're not taking the weapon, then remember to say what I taught you when you get to school. Got it?" Liu hesitated a little, clutching the strap of his backpack. Then, he sighed in resignation and accepted. All right. He had to be a little obedient to stop his brother from worrying. What could he do? Liu really was a good kid. Because he was so good, his older brother had to nag him like a mother hen. Even when he got downstairs, Liu could still hear his brother shouting, "Be careful on your way. Look both ways when you cross the street. Wait for me after school. I'll come pick you up." Liu was at a loss with his brother. "If you keep coddling me like this, how will I ever grow up, big bro?" It's because he had a mother hen of an older brother at home who babied him, that when he was standing in front of the class introducing himself, Liu had to bite the bullet and tell this lie. Below, the other students were sitting properly, listening to Liu's introduction. A certain golden-furred fox rested his hand on his cheek, staring intently at the new student on the podium. He watched the little puppy's darting eyes and slightly pursed lips, his hands fidgeting with the hem of his shirt, and thought to himself, so many little movements. Is it because he's nervous? Or because he's lying? Could someone really be dumb enough to lie about their own subspecies? Alright, The new student introduction was over. The teacher allowed Li Yu to take his seat. She reminded the class to get along well with the new student, then began today's lesson. The little puppy walked to his seat. A student sitting in front of him turned around and said with a smile, "Hey there, my name is Heng. I'm a wolf too, just like you. Let's look out for each other." The little puppy had only lied once, and already a long-lost relative of the same species came to get acquainted. It made the puppy break out in a cold sweat. He gave a forced smile and mumbled a couple of uh-huhs in agreement. The little puppy successfully sat down in his seat and let out a long sigh of relief. The puppy's life is so hard. In the end, he really did what his older brother said. Is pretending to be a carnivore really a good idea? Lee, you looked out at the sky through the window. He knew lying was wrong, but since it was already done, he just needed to endure it for 2 years. After graduation, everything would be fine. For now, as long as he kept his distance from others, he wouldn't be found out. Usually, plans like these tend to backfire spectacularly. My dear puppy. The little puppy had only been thinking for a moment, and just like that, it was time for school to end. On the school grounds, everyone was leaving one by one. Inside the classroom, many students hadn't left yet. For example, the fox young man named Liu. Today was his turn for after-school cleaning duty. Handsome guys are often admired by girls everywhere, and this place was no exception. Liu was a tall, handsome fox. In everyone's eyes, he was a cheerful, friendly, and talented student. Therefore, he was very popular with the female students. Look, before you know it, someone already wanted to help him with his cleaning duty. While Liu was smiling and politely declining the help of the female student across from him, he caught a glimpse of a certain puppy preparing to leave. The fox smiled and called out after the little puppy, "Hey student Li Yu, wait a minute. The teacher asked me to give you these study materials." Before the little puppy could react, the fox had already sidled up to him with a cunning smile. "You enrolled a week later than usual. If there's anything you can't keep up with, just find me, and I'll tutor you." Li Yu had never been hit on by a guy like this before, so he was quite flustered. He quickly took the documents from the fox student's hand. Flustered. "Thanks." The mischievous little fox, getting close to the new student, even sniffed the other's scent. After sniffing for a while without smelling anything, the fox was very suspicious. His pheromone scent is so faint. Did he use something to hide his scent? Even at this distance, he couldn't smell whether the new student had the scent of a carnivorous beastman or not. Liu was very disappointed that he couldn't find any holes in the little puppy's story for the time being. But even so, the fox was very interested in this person. So he smiled, revealing his fangs, and said friendly, "If you need tutoring later, it's not free, you know." The girl behind him, hearing that someone was being offered tutoring by Liu himself, was extremely envious and admiring. The boy next to her propped his hand up, not thinking it was a big deal. Well, Liu is the academic representative. After all, everyone knows he's friendly and enthusiastic, but Liu was scared out of his wits. The little guy quickly backed away from that fox, anxiously saying, "I don't need tutoring." The fox's sudden friendliness made the puppy nervous. He just felt that there was something weird about this fox. The fox, having been rejected, wasn't angry. He still sociably waved goodbye to the new student, even cheerfully reminding him to be careful on his way home. After talking to the little puppy, the fox turned back to get ready for his cleaning duty, but was grabbed by the arm by that girl. She wanted to do cleaning duty with Liu, even proudly claiming that she loved cleaning and stuff. The boy behind her, who knew his sister was just putting on an act for her crush, innocently exposed her on the spot. "I've never seen you do chores or clean at home." The young girl was pretty formidable herself. She wasn't embarrassed about being exposed. She even turned around and told her brother to shut up. She's shamelessly chasing after a guy. While they were making a commotion over there, the little puppy over here was putting the documents in his backpack as he left. However, he didn't notice a card fall out of his backpack. It landed on the ground. The small sound immediately caught the attention of the other three in the classroom. The fox walked over and bent down to pick it up. Meanwhile, the girl called out after the little puppy, "Student Li Yu, you dropped something." She called out like that, but the puppy had already disappeared. The young girl stood at the classroom door, completely bewildered. How did he leave so fast? He didn't even hear me call. The fox picked up the item and looked at the ID card in his hand. Right on the subspecies line, below the gender column, the fox saw something very interesting. So interesting that the fox couldn't stop the corners of his mouth from turning up. Liu was delighted. He then turned to put on a show for the love-struck girl next to him. "I'll run after him and return this to him. Could you help me with wiping the windows for a bit?" The female student couldn't have asked for a better opportunity. Getting a chance to help the boy she liked with his work, of course she wouldn't refuse. Her little brother in the back just stared, but he couldn't change the mind of his sister, who was head over heels for a guy. The fox knew she would agree to help him. Since he was already putting on an act, he decided to go all the way. He smiled like the sun, clasping his hands together with a grateful expression. "I'm so sorry about this. I'll treat you to juice tomorrow." The sight of this shot straight through the girl's heart. She quickly nodded happily. The older sister acted all capable while chasing the guy, but, in reality, she was still lazy. Seeing her little brother behind her, rubbing his nose in admiration of the fox, she immediately handed him the bucket and cloth and said, "Wiping the windows will make a noise. Now get to work." The cunning fox didn't care who was wiping the windows for him. As long as someone was helping, it was fine. Right now, he was busy chasing after the little dog. He ran like his fox life depended on it, to finally catch up to the puppy. The fox tapped the little guy's shoulder and called out, "Student Li Yu." The puppy heard the voice and turned his head. As soon as he turned around, he heard the other person say, "You dropped something extremely important." The fox bent down slightly to match Li Yu's height, smiling as he held out the thing he'd picked up in front of him. "This ID card is yours, isn't it?" Li Yu glanced at the card in the other's hand. His heart started pounding uncontrollably in his chest. Sweat started to pour down his face. Worry and fear enveloped the little dog's entire body, leaving him frozen in place. The fox, who was wickedly enjoying this, teased him with a sly grin. "What does it say on here, I wonder?" The little puppy, caught in a lie on his very first day of school, was scared to death. The little guy kept stuttering, unable to form a complete sentence. After taking the card back from the other person, the little puppy looked like he was about to cry. His mind was reeling in agony. "What do I do? Oh my god. Am I about to be blackmailed? What's going to happen to my school life now? And he's a carnivore too." Sob. "The puppy's life is so hard. It's all Big Bro's fault for making me lie. Come save me." Li Yu was anxious inside, but he tried to maintain some composure on the outside. He was only trembling slightly. His voice was tiny, like he was begging, "Student Liu, can I ask you?" The fox, who loved toying with people's emotions, looked at the puppy's interesting reaction, and smiled like a friendly pageant queen, saying, "I won't tell anyone. Don't worry. We're classmates after all. Let's get along really well, okay?" His face looked so cunning, but after hearing what he said, the puppy actually believed him, not knowing that inside, the sly fox was thinking of ways to torment him in the future. The fox thought that liars are usually very insecure, so the puppy would surely provide him with a lot of entertainment to watch in the future. But the fox was immediately and unexpectedly proven wrong. He just saw the little dog, after hearing his assurance, joyfully ask again, "Really? Thank you." After that, the little kid, Li Yu, smiled like spring had arrived, and gave the cunning fox a good guy card. Looking at that innocent, carefree, and somewhat goofy smile, Liu suddenly felt like his fox heart had just been punched. It suddenly started beating uncontrollably fast. Thump. A powerful beat made the fox blush and reflect on himself. The kid in front of me seems to be a genuine idiot, completely incapable of thinking ill of others. Not even a little bit. Not only did the puppy not think ill of the fox, he also cheerfully grabbed his hand, his tail wagging furiously, and said with a smile, "From now on, I'll treat you like a brother. If you need any help, just let me know." Faced with this sight, Liu only had one thought in his mind. Damn it, the way this little puppy wags his tail is so damn cute. So cute it makes you want to aggressively bully him a little. After thinking that, the fox was about to take action, pulling Liu's hand closer to him and whispering in a low voice, "Sorry, but I wasn't finished yet. Keeping your secret is fine, but it's not for free." The puppy had just given the guy a good guy card, and now he flipped the script in an instant, leaving the little guy bewildered. He was flustered and didn't know what to do. The puppy, trembling, took out his wallet and pulled out a $100 bill. His voice sounded like he was about to cry. I only have this much." The fox watched him pull out money to give him and was like, "Dude, I'm not some bully who likes to extort people. Oh my god, I've been so wronged." While the two were in an awkward situation, Li Yu's shoulder was tapped by someone. He turned around startled and saw it was his older brother who had come to pick him up. His older brother had been waiting outside for a long time and didn't see his younger brother come out, so he had to come into the school to find him. Who would have thought he'd catch his little brother about to give money to a classmate? Li Hui didn't know what was going on, but he immediately jumped in to defend his little brother first. He stood in front of Li Yu, looking at Liu with hostile eyes. "Who's this? Is he bullying you? Could it be that this rotten kid wants to collect protection money?" Li Yu was like, "Big bro, calm down. It's not like that." Meanwhile, the fox quickly backed away, holding up both hands with a placating smile. This newly arrived older brother was too agitated. The fox had to get nervous too. What could he do? But who was this fox? He had always relied on his social skills, used to taking a step back to advance. So, in no time he naturally leaned over with a sunny smile to greet Li Hui. "Are you Li Yu's older brother? My name is Liu. I'm Li Yu's classmate. I just found his wallet earlier, so I was chasing after him to return it. Please don't misunderstand." After the fox finished speaking, under the suspicious gaze of big brother Li, he quickly placed his hand on the shoulder of the nervous little puppy next to him, grinned, and added, "We just became friends, right, little Yu?" The Yu was drawn out by the fox, which scared the little puppy to no end. If he said no this time, the whole school would probably know tomorrow that he's a puppy, not a wolf. Although Li Yu didn't want to, he had to go along and confirm that everything the fox said was true. It's unclear if Big Brother Lee believed him, but his face showed extreme disgust, disgusted with that fox. Then, Li Hui grabbed his brother's hand and stormed off. As he walked, he grumbled, "Didn't I tell you not to befriend carnivorous beastmen?" Li Yu tilted his head slightly, looking at the fox who was still standing calmly behind them, and didn't know what to say. "This was just a coincidence, big bro. I didn't know anything." The fox glanced at the departing backs of the two, stuck his hands in his pockets, and smiled faintly. The little puppy ran away. But it's okay, there's still plenty of time. The puppy won't be able to escape the fox's grasp. The little puppy was targeted by the fox on his very first day of school. Now they were in the car, listening to his older brother's nagging. Big Bro felt that his precious little brother was acting strange today. He glanced at Li Yu and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Did something happen today? Did you tell them you're a wolf like I told you to?" If Big Bro hadn't mentioned it, it would have been fine. But now that he did, the puppy felt weary of life. Li Yu rubbed his head and replied with a forced smile, "I said it. No one suspected anything. Everything is normal." Ah ha ha. Li Hui heard his brother say that but was still very suspicious. "Really? What about that guy from before? He really wasn't bullying you, was he? If not, let's just arrange it like in middle school. You can go to a school with only herbivorous beastmen." Li Yu was horrified when he heard that. "Holy crap. Can you please not bring up the dark history of my life? Are you kidding me? Because I went to a school for herbivores, I was isolated for all of middle school. No matter what, the puppy didn't want to live that kind of life ever again. He had to firmly oppose this idea right then and there. "I'm really fine. I had a super fun day today." Li Yu waved his hands and feet to show his brother just how happy he was. "I'm fine at this school. I don't need to transfer. I don't want to." After hearing his brother's firm resolve, Li Hui had to give in. He was so worried about his little brother, but he couldn't do anything. It was mentally exhausting for him too. "Just stop making up schemes for me. Your lie will definitely work out smoothly, big bro." The little puppy, having gotten his brother's acceptance, let out a sigh of relief. He had definitely sighed a lot today. Life is so hard. But what did that fox mean when he said it wasn't for free? What does he mean? Dear puppy, because he was overthinking so much. That night he had a freaking nightmare. In the dream, he was chased by some golden fox that wanted to bite his butt all night long. Oh boy, this is a sign, puppy. A restless night left the puppy with no energy the next morning. He was staggering as he walked. The poor sleepy kid, whenever he closed his eyes, he would see himself being pantsed by some fox, exposing his butt, and he was scared to death. Luckily, he woke up right away last night. Otherwise, he might not have been able to save his butt. Haha. Maybe what couldn't be saved was his innocence, not his butt, puppy. As soon as the puppy arrived at class, a student called out, "Li Yu, the homeroom teacher is looking for you. She's waiting in the teacher's office." Li Yu, whose foot hadn't even crossed the classroom threshold, immediately changed direction towards the teacher's office. The teacher looked at the new student in her class and said gently, "Student Li Yu, after class yesterday, I reviewed your school file. Right at the subspecies part." Mentioning this made the teacher feel awkward too. This kid introduced himself to the class as a wolf yesterday, but his file clearly states his subspecies is a dog. She was also at a loss for words because it was the first time she'd ever seen someone lie about their subspecies. "But miss, you don't need to say anything else. Your student's soul has already left his body and ascended to the heavens. The little puppy's life is too hard. Yesterday, he was found out by a classmate, and today, the teacher also found out after checking his file. Can't a puppy live a peaceful school life anymore?" Li Yu's soul wandered in the clouds for a bit, then returned to his body. He then clasped his hands earnestly and immediately begged the homeroom teacher, "Miss, I'm begging you. Please don't tell anyone, okay?" The kid's voice was so loud that the other teachers in the office had to look over to see what was going on. But the young teacher didn't know why he had to lie about his subspecies. But since the student had sincerely asked her like this, she had to agree. Before that, she even reminded him, "If you have any difficulties, you can talk to me, okay?" Without a second thought, Li Yu agreed immediately, wagging his tail and thanking the teacher profusely. That's a dog trait for you, wagging his tail whenever he's happy. He'll expose himself one day. Just as he escaped the teacher's office, before the little dog could even let out a sigh of relief, he heard a classmate say, "Little Yu, the upcoming chemistry class is in the lab. I brought your book for you." Li Yu was about to open his mouth to say thanks, but when he looked up and saw the culprit who chased him to bite his butt all night, he was startled, snatched the book, and backed away. "Hey, why are you touching other people's things without permission?" The fox heard his friend's accusation and pouted aggrievedly. "Your book was on the desk. Besides, everyone has to lock the door when they leave the classroom. I was just thinking of you." After saying that, the fox pulled the new student's hand and pointed to one side. "The lab is this way." Li Yu was being pulled along, completely bewildered. Let go, dude. I can walk by myself. Sob, I don't know how to refuse. A moment later, the puppy and the fox were in the same group in the lab. The teacher was reminding everyone to be careful with the alcohol lamps, but the puppy's face was all sulky. He really despised this fox. Why did he have to be in the same group with me? The fox didn't care what the person next to him thought. He was happily humming while doing the experiment. After finishing the experiment, the fox rested his chin on his hand and teased the puppy with a smile. Why do you keep staring at me? What are you thinking? The puppy glanced at him, suddenly feeling a bit annoyed. Can you stay away from me? Because of you, I dreamed last night that a fox was biting my butt. After hearing that, Liu not only wasn't angry but even smiled and teased him back. Be careful, or your dream might come true. Li Yu retorted angrily. Dream my ass, that was a nightmare. While the two were talking loudly, two female students came over to ask the fox for help turning off their alcohol lamp because they were afraid to do it themselves. Liu, for whatever reason, still cheerfully agreed to help. The puppy looked at the other guy's back as he reminded the girls that the beaker was still hot, so they should be careful. He thought, damn, this fox always appears so harmless in front of others. Always. Li Yu thought as he reached for the tool to extinguish the alcohol lamp's flame. Could it be that guy is pretending to be nice? As he was thinking, the flame in front of him flared up too high, making the little puppy feel the heat. He hesitated, not daring to put it out. At that moment, a hand covered his, gently pressing the tool onto the lamp. The flame immediately turned into a wisp of white smoke. The cunning fox took the opportunity to cop a feel and still smiled as if nothing happened. He even said, be careful not to get burned. The little dog got goosebumps from the other's deep voice. Goosebumps. He raised his hands to cover the puppy ears on his head and snapped, I told you to stay away from me. I can do it myself. The fox wasn't sad at all about being shunned and disliked. He was even in the mood to tease the little puppy. Why are you so nervous, little Yu? Every letter of his name was drawn out as if it had a hook, making Li Yu so scared he had to cover his ears. This demonic voice is too scary. This guy is definitely pretending to be harmless. He's truly a wicked, cunning fox. After chemistry class ended, everyone moved to the gymnasium for PE class. On the volleyball court, Li Yu and Liu were on two opposing teams, playing a volleyball match against each other. The fox looked at the ball flying high in the air. Li Yu also looked up at it. In his ears were the loud cheers of the girls. Mostly, they were standing idly on the sidelines, cheering for a certain fox, which made the little puppy furious. Holy crap, it's just PE class. We're just splitting into teams for fun. And they even brought a cheer squad? What the heck? One of Li Yu's teammates shouted. While the little puppy was thinking, the ball flew over his head. Li Yu backed up a bit to get a running start and jumped high to spike the ball over the net. Normally, a certain tall fox would have jumped up to block the ball. Usually, the ball would definitely be blocked by him. But in that moment, as the little puppy opposite him jumped, his gym shirt lifted up, revealing his small waist. A faint scent wafted straight into the fox's nose, causing him to lose focus. As a result, the puppy successfully spiked the ball over the net and scored a point for his team. 10-5. Red team wins. The teacher's voice rang out, signaling the end of the match. The teacher contentedly announced that everyone could have free time until the end of class. Li Yu's team was joyfully hugging each other to celebrate their victory. The real wolf was praising the fake wolf, Li Yu, saying he was too strong. Liu is so tall, it's usually very hard to spike the ball past his block. But on the other side, his opponent's eyes never left. The little puppy celebrating with his teammates. It was hard to tell what he was thinking. The team was still celebrating, when suddenly, their star player was grabbed by the collar and hauled away by their opponent. Before leaving, the fox even smiled warmly and said he was just borrowing the little puppy for a moment. Under the gazes of a crowd, and despite the little one's futile struggles, Li Yu was easily captured by the cunning fox. Instead of helping, the little puppy's clueless teammates just watched from a distance, gossiping admiringly. Li, you got close to Liu so fast, huh? Yeah, that's right. Liu seems nice, but he always feels so distant. A certain little wolf even mumbled. Their bond is unbelievably strong, if you can believe it. The striped tiger, however, didn't care about his friend being miserably dragged away. He just sniffed and sniffed the air. He smelled something very sweet. He wondered whose pheromone it was. His friend next to him immediately refuted it. How is that possible? There aren't any herbivores around here. No herbivores, but there are omnivores. Poor Li Yu was kidnapped and dragged straight into the WC. The fox pushed him into a stall and locked the door, scaring the puppy to death. What the hell is this? Fox, are you trying to use the bathroom with me? That's so perverted. Oh my god. The fox didn't want to use the bathroom together, but after locking the door, he immediately closed in and cornered the puppy. After cornering him, that fox named Liu acted like a hooligan, rubbing and sniffing all over Li Yu's neck, making the little guy so scared he shrieked, "What the hell do you want?" The fox didn't answer, but instead pulled down the puppy's collar slightly, blushed, and said with a smile, "It seems the scent I smelled earlier really was your pheromone." Right. With a pheromone that smells like this, you still dare to pretend to be a carnivore. You've got some real guts. The little puppy tilted his head, completely confused. What do you mean? In the fox's eyes right now, Li Yu was like a little dog, weak and pitiful, and also not very bright. He asked a question from the bottom of his heart. No way. As no one ever described your pheromone, sent to you before? The fox smiled like a bear that had just found a honey pot, and revealed, you smell delicious, just like a herbivore. It's like a super tempting baked apple pie. This information hit Li Yu like a bolt of lightning. He felt like he had nothing left to live for. Essentially, beastmen can't smell their own scent, so most people ask their family members to smell it for them, and describe it so they know what they're backed of it. Own pheromone smells like. Li Yu had asked before. When he was little, he eagerly asked his older brother what his pheromones smelled like. But unfortunately for him, he had an overly loving brother. So, well, little Li Yu's older brother couldn't bring himself to give a straight answer that would hurt his 10-year-old brother's heart. He just said his scent was very masculine. The consequence of that is, to this day, a certain little puppy was still convinced his scent was incredibly manly and powerful. What a disastrously pampering move. Remembering that glorious past, as happy as he was as a child, that's how shattered he felt now. Poor Li Yu. He felt like the world was too cruel to him. Big bro, how could he seriously say something like that to encourage me? He clearly knew what my scent was like, but he still wanted me to pretend to be a carnivore. Is Big Bro trying to get me killed? The lonely little puppy, so helpless upon learning this cruel truth that he burst into tears. An apple pie scent. I actually smell like apple pie. As pitiful as he was, the devilish fox next to him added fuel to the fire. Don't be sad. Try to think more positively. For example, if you ever go into heat on the street, all the carnivorous beastmen around will flock to you to bite your neck. The little puppy, furious, yelled, how is that a positive thing at all? Of course, the fox wouldn't let the puppy stay sad for long. He once again closed in, holding the other's chin, and whispered into his ear. Let me tell you, in your pheromones, there's the milky scent of the crust, the gentle sweet and sour scent of apples, and also the slightly spicy scent of cinnamon. It truly feels incredibly exquisite. After saying that, the fox blushed and added to himself, one more long sentence. Moreover, this scent makes one's heart itch. An indescribably exhilarating feeling. It's truly magical. No, you're not actually treating me like food you want to eat, are you? The little puppy was so scared his tail wanted to tuck between his legs. The poor, helpless little thing hugged himself and backed away. But in this small, confined space, where could he possibly run? The tall fox had already pounced and embraced him, sniffing and nuzzling him all over. The poor little dog, was being sniffed so much his fur stood on end. But no matter how he pulled, he still couldn't get the other guy off him. The little puppy could only scream helplessly. Enough, let me go, you damn pervert. You actually want to eat someone in a bathroom. Pervert. After cursing, the little puppy suddenly smelled something on the bast fox. So he took a few sniffs himself to check it out. He realized, hey, there really is a scent. He grabbed the fox's shirt and described it. I think I can smell your scent too. Oh, it's black tea. After sniffing, the puppy smiled brightly and asked, is this your body scent? As soon as he said that, the puppy's hands were grabbed tightly by someone else's long. He growled, don't think you can say whatever you want just because you have that stupid smiling face. After sniffing each other for a while, they finally left the bathroom. The little puppy put his hands on his hips, huffed black tea. Or whatever, that's not exactly a manly scent either. 4. The fox, unhurriedly, stabbed back with a single sentence. Compared to me, you should still worry about your own problem, little apple pie puppy. After poking fun at his classmate, the fox said softly, but it's lucky your scent is quite faint. Normally, you can't smell it even up close. Li Yu was still trying to sniff his hand, wanting to smell the scent on his body. He was very suspicious. If that's the case, is it because I sweat a lot from exercise that the scent comes out? So, do I need to use antiperspirant? This was the specialty of the fox student named Liu. No matter how he smiled, his face always looked cunning, but his words still had a shred of humanity. Don't worry. After school today, I'll take you to solve this problem. I'll help you disguise it. On the surface, he was being kind, but, inside, he was scheming of all the ways to make sure no one but him found out Li Yu's secret. And with a secret comes an opportunity to get close to someone. Then, as easy as pie, eat them up. What a cunning fox. Li Yu also felt that this guy wasn't that kind, but even if he puffed out his cheeks and glared, the little puppy couldn't figure out what trick this fox was up to, so he had to give in. And so, despite suspecting the fox of having a scheme, the little puppy still obediently followed him. After school, he truly has no sense of caution at all. The shop they went to today was named HB, an acronym for Health and Beauty Store. As soon as the two arrived, an employee warmly greeted them. Li Yu followed behind Liu, curious, looking left and right. Don't blame him for being a country bumpkin. This place really did sell many types of products he had never seen before, so it was only natural for the puppy to be curious. An enthusiastic saleswoman led them around, introducing various types of pheromone inhibitors to the two. She pointed to a nearby product and said with a smile, "If you're a student, you can choose this scentless product. It's quite suitable. Besides being an inhibitor, it's also waterproof and sweatproof." The little puppy opened the box and unscrewed the product's cap, sniffing it like it was his job. Luckily, the fox added a few more boxes for the puppy to keep and use, otherwise, opening a sealed product without buying it would have surely earned them a scolding. By the time they got to the checkout counter, Li Yu was still very suspicious. "I can't believe you're actually trying to help me." The little guy opened his wallet, preparing to pay, while saying that to the fox next to him. The little puppy joyfully praised the fox. "Turns out you're not so evil after all." But at that moment, the fox young man avoided his gaze and looked elsewhere guiltily. A saleswoman packed the products into a paper bag, pushed it towards the two, and announced the total with a smile. "The total is 5,680 RMB. The puppy was smiling, but his smile vanished in an instant. The little guy, bewildered and scared, glanced at the fox and said timidly, Maybe we shouldn't buy it. I can just use some baby powder." Only now did the little dog, Li Yu, realize that the trap set by the fox he had just praised as kind was right here. Holy crap, there's no way a normal student could afford that amount. Clearly, this fox was intentionally teasing him again. Just one look at his smug, smiling face from behind was enough to know. What else could it be? The poor little puppy was tricked again. After teasing the puppy, so as not to embarrass his future diet boyfriend, the fox pulled a black card out of his pocket and said, "Let me get it." Although the card was black, the monetary power within it was blinding to the dog's eyes. Li Yu's, that is. This was clearly the radiance of a rich person. After paying, the fox acted as if it was nothing, handed the bag to Li Yu, and said loftily, "I told you I'd help you solve this, didn't I?" And there it is, a stick and a carrot successfully made a certain poor little puppy pass out from being moved. On the outside, he was tearfully thankful. Inside, he was pulling his hair out, blaming himself. "I misjudged him." Sob. "He's too good to me. Why is that? I could never have afforded that." The fox, having achieved his goal, happily left with the little dog, restoring his image in front of his classmate. With just a single receipt, made the fox very proud. After leaving the store, the little puppy said, "For all this stuff, I'll save up my allowance and pay you back." The fox cheerfully teased, "You can't really afford it, can you? Little Li, you got flustered and snapped. I'll pay you back either way." The fox wasn't expecting the little puppy to pay him back. What he wanted was the favor that he was owed. Liu turned around and booped the little dog's nose with his fingertip, smiling as he said, "Right now, whether in favors or in money, you owe me. So, we should find a proper way to settle this, don't you think?" The little dog didn't know what trick this fox was up to now, but he really did owe him money, so Li, you had to silently listen to what he had to say. The fox was just waiting for this. He immediately put his arm around Li Yu, pulling him close, and said with a smile, "I'm helping you keep a secret, and I'm putting in all this effort to help you disguise yourself. But, in exchange, you have to let me smell your pheromones to relax whenever I want. How about it? Huh? So this was the big-tailed fox's real goal. The puppy saw you as a friend, but you see the puppy as a drug to get high on?" Without a second word, Li Yu immediately pushed the fox's face away and scolded, "Damn it! If you want to sniff dogs, go to a dog cafe. Why are you bothering me?" Liu's face was getting squished by the puppy's hands. His muffled voice came out, "It's not the same. Your scent is more delicious." After saying that, the fox pulled his old trick again, saying helplessly, "If you don't agree, it'll be very difficult for me. Keeping secrets and all isn't an easy thing to do." The little puppy was being blatantly blackmailed, but he could only call the fox a pervert. He couldn't do anything else. Oh heavens, if only there was a machine to turn back time so the puppy could start over, and not go down this wrong path again. Haha. Li Yu, annoyed, clutched the paper bag in his hand. He knew he had no right to refuse this request now. If he didn't want to transfer schools, he had to obediently accept this condition. After thinking that, the little dog gritted his teeth and said, "Fine. Damn it. Getting sniffed a little won't cost me any flesh." Haha. So wrong. Puppy. Getting sniffed won't cost you flesh, but it will cost you your innocence. Poor, naive child. The fox, having achieved his goal, smiled and held out his hand, wanting to pinky swear. Little puppy Li, you puffed out his cheeks angrily, but had to give in. He told himself, "I have to find this cunning fox's weakness soon and strike back. Just you wait, you bastard." At that moment, their fingers hooked together. It felt like a ritual had been formed, some kind of connection that could never be broken in the future. Time flies. It was just Tuesday, and now it's already Thursday. The little dog was so sluggish from today's long self-study period, he was listlessly lying on his desk, sipping milk. He didn't know if it was because of the deal they made last time that he felt more at ease, but the past 2 days had been quite peaceful. He glanced up at the fox, The one with the big tail. Lee, you realize that the past 2 days without being bothered by this fox were pure bliss. A rabbit-like girl was handing out test papers to the class. When she got to Lee Yu, she smiled and handed him the English test. The little puppy took it and said thanks. Then he saw the number 37 glaring at him from the paper, and his whole body trembled. The little rabbit saw the little puppy trembling next to her and kindly consoled him. You started a whole week late, so it's normal not to be caught up. Don't worry. The English teacher told me to tell you that he'll ask the academic representative to help you with tutoring after class, so remember to stay a little late, okay? After hearing the teacher's instructions, the little puppy, Lee Yu, was full of life again, his tail wagging immediately. Really? That's possible? The academic representative is in charge of that too? The little rabbit didn't say who the academic representative was, but just praised, yep, the academic representative is both kind and patient. He'll definitely agree to help you. At that time, the little puppy was still happy after hearing that, thinking he was getting a good deal. But after school, he couldn't smile anymore because the academic representative was named Liu, and his subspecies is a fox. Haha. And he's also the friend who shares a secret with the puppy. Oh my god, I'm dying of laughter. The little dog was not happy. The little dog couldn't believe it and asked again, "Why is it you?" The fox calmly replied with a smile, "Because I'm the academic representative." Well, the truth was laid out before his eyes. Even if the little puppy didn't want to believe it, he couldn't. Oh, and do you remember the little rabbit from earlier, who praised the academic representative as both patient and kind? Oh my god. This guy in front of me? Seriously? The puppy was too tired to talk. Just correct my homework already. The fox held the 37-point test in his hand, looking at the other's reaction, feeling completely helpless. What? Do you have a problem with it? Because I have to tutor you. I have to stay after school. The fox sat cross-legged on the chair, looking at the test in front of him, completely exasperated. How did you manage to get even a basic question like this wrong? Li Yu, opposite him, could only make the excuse that he started school a week late. He didn't know what else to say. The fox started to sweat a little. Looking at him, he said helplessly, "This is middle school level knowledge." Oh my god. The puppy was so ashamed he couldn't even lift his head to face the world. How can friends play such dirty tricks on each other? The fox couldn't help it. The truth hurts. Who knew? Seeing the little puppy with his head down under the desk, the fox calmly said, "Avoiding reality is useless. Hurry up and get up." The fox stood up helplessly, shaking his head in dismay. With your situation, just a little bit of tutoring like this after school won't do anything. The little puppy, seeing the fox about to leave, was frantic. What do you mean just leaving like that? What about me? Where's the promised patience? Where's the promised kindness? Once again, the puppy was played for a fool by the fox. Hearing what he said, he lowered his head and explained, "We're going to the library first. Find you some reference books. Wait until the weekend, then I'll spend some more time tutoring you." Wow. So nice of him. The ulterior motive is so obvious, but the puppy didn't suspect anything and just said okay. That's it. He's done for. This little kid has suffered so many times but still hasn't learned his lesson. The academic battlefield shifted from the classroom to the library. At this moment, the fox was standing below, looking for books. The little puppy, due to his limited height, had to climb a ladder to search. While searching, Liu complained, "Do we really need to find this many books?" The fox was like, "I'm helping you. What are you complaining about?" After saying that, he turned his head, about to say he was going to check another section. But what caught his eye was a rather interesting sight. The little puppy was wearing short shorts and climbing high. From the fox's angle, he could clearly see his underwear. The fox took one look, and even his thick skin had to turn red. "Oh my god, I saw a guy's underwear. And it was the kind for kids, too. That's just wild." The little dog, Li Yu, had no idea he had exposed himself to the other guy. He was still struggling, looking for things and asking where the dictionary the fox mentioned was. The fox couldn't help himself. Such a beautiful spring scene must definitely be added to the memory album. No sooner said than done. The fox pulled out his phone and immediately snapped a picture of that pretty angle. Right then and there, the little puppy on the ladder didn't get an answer, but he did hear the sound of a phone's camera shutter go off below his butt. Even after hearing that, the little guy didn't think much of it. He even nagged like an old lady, "If you're going to use your phone at school, you should at least turn the sound off." Oh puppy, so naive. At this rate, they'll eat you up, bones and all. The fox got a very satisfying picture. He couldn't help but immediately show it off to his buddy up high. Because I saw such a beautiful scene, I couldn't help but take a picture. The naive little dog turned his head to look, about to ask what it was, when he saw the picture on the other's phone. It shocked the puppy to his core. Damn this perverted fox. He actually took the opportunity to take a picture of the puppy's butt. How outrageous. The little puppy, blushing, cursed up a storm, but because of his limited height, he couldn't reach the phone that the fox was holding up high. After seeing the puppy's reaction, the fox even teased him with a smile. "Oh my, I never would have guessed, little you is this cute. Even wearing cartoon print. Tease a dog too much, and you might get bitten. Liu also teased a dog, but he didn't get bitten. Instead, he got a straight punch to the stomach from the dog. The fox clutched his stomach, feeling like he was about to cough up blood. Trembling in pain, he said, "Intentionally causing injury is a serious crime." He was punched so hard he had to lean against the nearby bookshelf, unable to stand up straight. Serves you right for teasing the little puppy. The puppy, little Yu, had gotten the phone and was in the process of destroying the evidence. Hearing what he said, he replied, "Taking secret photos of others is also a serious crime." After deleting the picture from the fox's phone, the little puppy let out a long sigh of relief. After he finished deleting and had sighed in relief, the fox over there had regained his strength and delivered another blow. "Forgot to tell you, my phone has automatic cloud data sync." After hearing that, a certain little puppy wanted to smash this phone to pieces. Li Yu was crying a river inside. It's all his big brother's fault. He went to the supermarket and even bought children's underwear that was on sale for him to wear. "I'm so sick of my troublesome big brother." The fox patted the other's shoulder, calmly took back his phone, and even said with a sly smile, "What's the big deal? Don't I already have enough of your weaknesses in my hands? Besides me, no one else knows. So, what's there to worry about?" It's dangerous precisely because this fox knows other people aren't as perverted as this fox. Although the little puppy didn't believe him, now that the photo was deleted but the problem wasn't solved, the puppy felt completely helpless. He had no choice but to tag along behind, pulling on the fox's tail and begging in a small voice, "You absolutely cannot leak that photo, you hear me?" The fox named Liu was extremely happy. He cheerfully agreed. The fox gathered the stack of reference books together, placed them on the step of the ladder, and then calculated. The books are gathered, now it's time for the main event. The naive little puppy behind him asked, "What else do we have to do?" "Darling puppy, did you think a certain fox brought you to the library, without some ulterior motive?" So naive. The school library, you know, a place where quite a few romantic storylines and secret affairs happen. Ha ha ha, see? Before you know it, the little puppy, Li Yu, has already been pushed against a bookshelf by the young fox named Liu. And then, he quickly loosened the little dog's tie, blushed, and said with a smile, "You have to give me a little reward, you know." Li Yu was mortified. This perverted, lecherous fox is always asking to sniff dogs. How truly embarrassing. But as embarrassed as the puppy was, he still had to do it. He did promise him after all. As he unbuttoned his collar, he said, "Isn't it just a little sniff?" "Yeah, hurry up, I still have to go home." Looking closely from behind, only now did the fox notice a small pretty mole on the little puppy's neck. He praised, "So cute," and reached out to gently touch the mole. With just that one touch, the little puppy sensitively shivered. Li Yu was so mad at this fox. "If you're going to sniff, then sniff. What's with the touching?" The puppy got angry and was about to give him another punch, but now that the fox was getting mischievous, he wasn't about to let the little puppy go. He grabbed Li Yu's hand and whispered, "What can I do?" into his ear. "You use the pheromone blocker. If I don't stir up your emotions, the pheromones won't come out much." After saying that, his mischievous hand half wrapped around his waist and half touched the little puppy's chest. Li Yu, being groped by his classmate, could only blush and think, "You're the one who told me to use the blocker. Could that have been intentional too?" Poor little puppy. Realizing it now is too late. After touching him, Liu himself blushed. He looked at the neck in front of him and felt his favorite apple pie scent starting to proffer, get stronger. The stimulation method seemed to be effective, so the fox, without a moment's hesitation, gently rubbed the little puppy's chest through a layer of clothing. It seemed he could feel something peeking out. The innocent little puppy. What, had he ever been attacked like this before? He blushed and trembled, saying, "Stop, I only let you sniff a little. I didn't agree to this." The fox was already lost in that sweet scent. How could he agree to let the little puppy go? He gently blew a breath into Liyu's ear, coaxing, "I'm almost satisfied. Let me touch the little puppy's tail, okay?" After saying that, without waiting for the little puppy to agree or refuse, the fox licked his lips, his hand moving downwards, touching the tail on the puppy's tailbone. Just that one touch, Liyu was so stimulated he moaned. Then, poof, he disappeared. The fox started to sweat a little too. Whoa, just one touch and he's that stimulated? He looked at the pile of clothes on the ground that was moving, and asked, "Liyu, are you okay? Did you turn into your animal form because you were too stimulated?" The little puppy, Liyu, had now truly turned into a super cute chocolate-colored puppy, but as cute as he wasn't to be trifled with. As soon as the little dog crawled out of the pile of clothes, he started cursing. "Damn it, you have your own butt and tail, what's the big deal about going to touch someone else's?" Li Yu, normally, already didn't have much intimidating power in front of the fox, let alone now that he had turned into a puppy. Even though he was being fierce, the fox found the little puppy incredibly cute. He picked him up and said with a delighted laugh, Oh my, trying to disguise yourself as a wolf, but you're just a little puppy, huh? The little puppy, with his 4 short stumpy legs, couldn't possibly escape from the fox's devilish claws. He struggled angrily but still couldn't get away. The little dog was furious. Let go, don't touch me. You pervert who likes to harass others. Suddenly, this time, after the little dog's scolding, the fox easily let him go, which surprised the little dog greatly. After putting him down, he even instructed, okay, you can calm down here by yourself. When you can turn back into a person, you can go home on your own. The little dog was at a loss for words with this fox. Damn it, you bastard. You're just going to leave me here? Li Yu, in his dog form, couldn't possibly hold the other guy back. He could only use his mouth to desperately bite his pant leg and pull him back. You have to take me with you. What if someone sees me? What will I do then? The fox once again achieved his goal, and was extremely happy. He's truly a villain. He turned around and scooped up both the puppy and his clothes. He said softly, be quiet. If the librarian comes over, it'll be a hassle. Huh? Why weren't you afraid when you were teasing him, and demanding to sniff him? Is that not weird? At this moment, the little dog was lying in a messy pile of clothes, and was even stuffed into a backpack, so he couldn't see a thing. As he struggled to get out, he asked, where are we going now? The fox looked around for a moment, one arm holding the backpack, the other tucking the puppy under his arm, and the other hand carrying Li Yu's shoes. He was planning to leave the library first, then deal with the problem later. Once you fall into this fox's hands, there's only one path left, being eaten completely. But this only happens in stories, everyone. In real life, if a classmate does this to you, that's harassment, okay? So give them a swift punch to the head, right then and there. It can't be tolerated. You're watching a review on the Ian Medham channel. Remember to follow and hit the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Now, let's get into the video. After a round of teasing that caused the puppy to transform, Liu has now brought him to the nurse's office to hide out. He sat on the bed, and next to him, the little puppy Li Yu was enthusiastically munching on a pastry. Liu watched the little puppy sprawled out, gobbling down the pastry, feeling utterly helpless. Do you feel like you're about to change back yet? Li Yu, his little belly full, lay on his back in the middle of the bed, let out a small burp, and replied, I don't think it's related to my energy levels. It seems more like an emotional issue. So, I need to make you feel better, huh? Liu had been eyeing that tiny belly for a while now. Hearing what the puppy said, he seized the opportunity to rub his little tummy. Oh, this feels so good. He even leaned in and praised, wow, this feels amazing. Puppies all love getting their bellies rubbed, don't they? Liu, pushing his luck, grabbed Li Yu's paw pad. He smiled and commented, your paw pads look just like chocolate beans. They look delicious. Li Yu was like, delicious? My ass. Don't compare me to food. I don't like it, okay? He acted tough, but the little dog was actually really enjoying the belly rubs. It felt as if the other guy was actually holding his hand and rubbing his stomach while he was in his human body, not his puppy form. Ugh, why did he have to be a dog? This is so frustrating. Could it be that he only enjoys being touched like this because he's a dog? That fox named Lu saw how much the little dog was enjoying the pets and wanted more. He was about to bury his face in the puppy's belly to enjoy it even more. But just as he leaned in, a tiny paw pushed his face away. Li Yu, in his small dog form, yelped, good my ass. The more you do this, the harder it is for me to change back. Stop touching me, Li Yu protested, but that stubborn fox wouldn't listen. So, the puppy had to unleash his ultimate move. And what other ultimate move does a puppy have? Besides biting, the little dog lunged forward and bit down. The fox Liu's ear throbbed with pain. He yelled, ow, 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 don't bite me. I'll have to go get a rabies shot. Just as the two troublemakers were fighting, the door to the nurse's office was opened by someone who asked, who's in here? Then, a tall young man pulled back the curtain and immediately saw the scene of the two of them wrestling on the bed. This tall man was the school doctor, named Ranz, 24 years old, and his subspecies was a black panther. Ranz saw Li Yu biting Liu's ear, dangling from it, and was completely bewildered. He raised his voice in alarm. What are you two doing? Hiding in here to bully a classmate? Seeing that a teacher had arrived, Li Yu finally let go of the fox. But, by the time he jumped down, the fox's ear was already swollen from being chewed on. Li Yu even acted magnanimous, waving a paw and saying, I won't stoop to his level anymore. The Black Panther heard his tone, and became very angry. He pointed at the little puppy and scolded, I'm talking to you. How can you bite a fellow student like that? And on top of that, you casually transformed into your animal form. You've violated school regulations. Do you understand? After being scolded, Li Yu and Liu were like, this is a bit of a big deal. Something was wrong. When Liu heard the teacher was going to punish the puppy, he immediately shielded him. He smiled and explained, Sir, we were just playing around a little. He didn't mean to transform into his animal form. He's just not feeling well. Isn't that right? Lee, you got the signal from Liu, and immediately rolled over to play dead, even sticking his tongue out realistically. Liu saw the puppy's fake performance, and could only break out in a sweat. He whispered, "This is a bit too dramatic." The doctor heard that the little one wasn't feeling well, and immediately pulled a chair up to the bed. He used his stethoscope to examine the puppy. "Where does it hurt?" he asked as he checked. Liu hesitated for a moment before making something up. My stomach. While he was seriously conducting the examination, that devil. Liu chimed in with a question. "Doctor, is it a boy or a girl?" Liu gave him a dirty look, but the doctor, on the other hand, answered seriously. "He just ate too much. It would be a big problem if you students were getting pregnant." "Lee, you heard." The teacher playing along with that perverted fox, and it made him so mad he started barking. "Woof, woof, woof. I just ate a little too much. Why are you being as dumb as him? And besides, I'm a boy." "A boy." The teacher was startled by the shouting. My, this little guy is full of spirit, isn't he?" After saying that, the Black Panther quickly opened a medicine bottle and shook out 2 pills. He held them out to the little dog, indicating he should take them. Emotions and pheromones can be a bit unstable during adolescence. It's easy to have trouble maintaining your human form. Take some of this medication to help calm your nerves. After giving him the medicine, the teacher thoughtfully pulled the curtain shut and told Liu to be good. "Just lie down for a bit, and you should be fine." Liu, holding the bottle cap in his mouth, mumbled incoherently, "Thank you." Liu, who had been standing by, now poked his head in. He patted the neatly folded pile of clothes next to him, smiled and said, "Here are your clothes. I'll wait for you to change back before I go, okay?" The little puppy Liu, lying still under the blanket, was thinking, "It would be even better if you just packed up and left right now." The nurse's office doctor sat at his desk, calling out from behind the curtain, "I need to register you. Student, what's your name?" Liu, sophomore, class 7. Dr. Rands, upon hearing Liu state his name, was a bit surprised. "Liu, are you Li Hui's younger brother?" The little dog, seeing that the school doctor actually knew his older brother, asked back curiously, "That's right. Do you know my brother?" The Black Panther, while writing the information in his logbook, explained the reason why he and Liu's older brother were acquainted. "We used to work part-time at the same place. When he found out I work at the school, he asked me to look out for you. He even said that if anything happened, I had to report your situation to him." That fox, surnamed Liu, sat on a swivel chair to the side, cheerfully watching the two talk. After the puppy heard the teacher say his brother had asked him to keep an eye on him, he couldn't help but worry. "Really? Sir, I didn't think my brother made friends with carnivorous subspecies." Rands, hearing his friend's younger brother say that, could only scratch his face awkwardly. "Well, I think up until last year or so, he still thought I was an American curl cat. Anyway, we've known each other for a long time, so he doesn't mind anymore." After hearing this, Liu understood everything. No wonder his brother let him attend this school. It turns out he had already planted a spy inside. Just as he thought this, suddenly, with a poof, Liu transformed back into his human form right there on the bed. The boy looked at his 2 hands in disbelief. "Huh? All of a sudden, I've changed back." A certain fox outside thought he'd have to wait much longer. Who knew he would change back so quickly? It even made the fox marvel. "As Li, you got his clothes on?" he curiously asked the teacher. "What did my brother want you to report to him?" The little puppy was worried sick now. If his brother found out he revealed his animal form in front of Liu, he would be so dead. The Black Panther teacher, despite being a carnivore, seemed very gentle. He told him everything he knew. "He just asked that if I notice you're injured or sick, I should let him know, that's all. Your brother cares about you a lot." Liu, having finished dressing, pulled back the curtain. He pleaded anxiously, "Sir, please, absolutely do not say anything to my brother, sir." After pleading, the boy recited some lines as if from a script. "Look, sir, I'm not injured or sick. Today I was just tired from exercising, that's all. Luckily, my good brother brought me to the nurse's office. I'm fully recovered now. There's nothing to worry about at all." Liu and the teacher stood to the side, listening to this speech, completely baffled. "Huh? Who was going to snitch on you to your brother? Why are you so scared?" The puppy was extremely uneasy. After his monologue, he put on a pitiful expression, his eyes welling up with tears as he begged, "Sir, please just pretend you never saw me today. Don't tell my brother anything, please. Otherwise, my brother will just worry unnecessarily again." The Black Panther was sweating from this whole display. Okay, let's talk calmly. Yes, I promise. There's no need to resort to crying and all that." Having received a nod of agreement from the nurse's office teacher, Liu quickly turned around and pushed Liu to leave quickly. As they left, he didn't forget to say goodbye to the teacher. Once out of the nurse's office, as soon as the door closed, Liu turned and asked, "Are you that scared of your brother?" Liu immediately retorted without thinking, "I'm not scared. My brother just genuinely worries too much." Liu chuckled teasingly. "Oh, so, the little puppy pretends to be a wolf because he's afraid of his brother worrying?" Hearing this, Liu continued to argue back. "You've got it backwards. It's because he worries about me so much that he wants me to pretend. Halfway through his sentence, Lee Yu seemed to think of something and quickly changed his tune. Anyway, just as long as he doesn't think there's anything unusual about me, it's fine. Lee Yu saw the puppy's reaction, and for some reason, he just smiled. He took a few more steps and heard his friend beside him complain. If he finds out, he'll make me transfer to a school for herbivores. I really don't want to transfer again. A certain cunning fox, after hearing these words, understood everything. And after understanding, not only did the fox not sympathize, but he also smiled thoughtfully. No wonder Li Yu is so compliant with me. I was worried that if I bullied him too much, he'd fight back. Now, the fox has nothing to worry about. He. Happy in his heart, the fox then smiled slyly, patting the little puppy's head and promising, "Don't worry, I'll be more careful in the future. I won't do bad things to you in front of the teacher." Li Yu heard this and was furious. "Damn it, can't you just not do bad things at all?" Li Yu, fuming, asked, "Which gate do you use to go home?" The fox pointed his hand towards the main gate. The puppy was waiting for just that and turned his head, saying, "I'm going through the side gate. Goodbye." Liu, having teased him all day, finally let the little dog go home. He even gave a fake sweet smile and said, "See you tomorrow," which made Li Yu walk home, fuming with anger. As the little dog walked angrily down the stairs, he suddenly felt like he had forgotten something very important. By the time he stepped outside, and the wind blew past his butt, the puppy suddenly felt a chill and had a shocking realization. "Damn it, where are my underwear? Someone stole your underwear, puppy." That night, the pervert who stole the puppy's underwear even took a selfie, saying hi, with the underwear hanging in the background, and sent it to Li Yu, making his blood boil. That perverted fox even texted, "I found something you left in my bag. I've washed and ironed it for you." Oh my god. Call him a pervert, and he'd probably take offense. But who the hell steals someone's underwear like that? It's just too much. "Lee, you wanted to kill this fox," he replied with trembling hands. "I'm begging you. Just burn it." He even attached a please dog meme. Liu not only didn't burn it, but he also had a wicked plan. Tomorrow, he would return these cartoon underwear to Li Yu, in front of everyone. Li Yu held the phone in his hand, trembling so much he wanted to just throw it away. Out of sight, out of mind, but he only thought about it. The little puppy still had to go to school. That day, during the lunch break, the puppy was dragged by his classmate to join a club, but a bewildered Li Yu was begged by his crying classmate to come and visit the clubroom and consider joining her. The reason was that any club that didn't have enough members would be disbanded next semester. The little puppy had a hard time saying no to people, so, just like that, he was pushed straight into the art club room. He was faced with a room full of only girls. Actually, there weren't that many. 3 girls and 1 little puppy, him. What kind of club only has 4 members? No wonder the school was going to disband it. Only after entering did Li Yu realize that his classmate had already assumed he was joining. And then, before anything else, she had already introduced the new member to the other 2, leaving Li Yu speechless. The puppy broke out in a sweat. Before he could say a word, all 3 girls were celebrating like it was a festival. They introduced themselves and cheered. "We have a new member." A girl with blue hair was Bianca, a junior. The one with smoky hair was Mitai, a 5th year. And Li Yu's classmate was the brown-haired girl, Mu Qin. Under the hopeful and expectant gazes of the 3 girls, Li Yu felt like he had been tricked, but he still couldn't bring himself to refuse. And so, just like that, the unsuspecting puppy was roped into joining the art club, completely against his will. Having successfully recruited a new member, the group's risk of being disbanded was eliminated. The 3 girls immediately surrounded Li Yu, curiously asking about Liu. They wanted him to tell them interesting things, his hobbies, or any detail and personal information about that troublesome fox. After hearing this, Li Yu was like, "I've only been at this school for a week. You guys have been here longer. You should know more than me." Mu Qin wanted to know more too, but she knew well that although Liu looked polite on the outside, handsome, and kind, he gave off a feeling of being very difficult to approach and get to know. Although the 3 girls had a crush on him, they were self-aware enough to surprise even the puppy Li Yu. But no matter what, when his friends praised Liu for being handsome, Li Yu couldn't agree. In his impression, that sly-faced fox, being considered handsome was just too strange. The puppy didn't get it, so the puppy asked right away, "Handsome? That guy who squints his eyes when he smiles all the time is handsome? Besides, his personality is terrible. He's mean, perverted, and completely worthless." The 3 girls heard their new teammate criticizing their idol so harshly that they broke out in a sweat. "Li Yu, everyone gets jealous, but you can't just badmouth him so openly like that. What did he do to offend you that you'd say something like that?" Mi Tai then chimed in. Her eyes glinted behind her glasses. She asked with bursting excitement, "In your eyes, does he have another side that people don't know about?" Li Yu was like, "The puppy doesn't understand anything. Why is everyone defending that guy? No wonder, he doesn't even bother to hide in his true nature from a new transfer student like me. He's not afraid of being exposed. Turns out, it's because he's already created a perfect impression in everyone's minds. The more the puppy thought about it, the angrier he got. He rested his chin on his hands, his cheeks puffed out so cutely. Even if I expose his true colors, it's not certain anyone would believe me. While the little dog was lost in thought, the three friends across from him had already started discussing new character types from popular series. Liu listened as if he were reading a foreign language. To this day, he still didn't know what this club was even about. They were talking about things the puppy couldn't contribute to at all. Feeling like a fish out of water, Liu decided that while no one was paying attention to him, he would make a quick escape. But how could he run away? Before he even reached the door, he was spotted by Mi-Tai. "Hey Liu, why are you leaving already? Wait a minute." The puppy was caught red-handed, but he wasn't embarrassed. Instead, the girl Mi-Tai got shy first. She fidgeted and stammered, unable to get her words out. Something about, "The first time I saw you, Liu heard this and thought someone had fallen for him at first sight, and was about to confess her feelings to him. But alas, the young man's beautiful dream hadn't even formed before it was instantly shattered. Mi-Tai shyly just wanted to ask for a photo of Liu. The girl even clasped her hands together and bowed her head earnestly, leaving Liu with a broken bide, dream and at a loss for words. Actually, if you ask him yourself, he probably won't refuse. Mi-Tai was a girl. How could she dare do something like that? She shyly explained, "It's just that it's hard for me to talk to strangers, and I want to use his picture as reference material, so I don't dare to ask." Liu had no idea what his new friend meant by reference material, but he still agreed to help her ask. The boy had just agreed, and was about to make a second escape attempt when the other two spotted him, and immediately called him out. "Why are you sneaking off like that? You have to actively participate in the club, not just be a number to fill the quota. You know, if you do that, the supervising teacher will find out." The more they talked, the more scared the puppy got, and he backed away. He kept backing up, not realizing that there was someone standing behind him, and just like that, Liu's shoulder bumped into the other person's chest. He had just turned his head to apologize when the puppy immediately saw the person he hated the most coming to find him. Liu was like, "Why have I been looking for you everywhere and couldn't find you? So, you were here." Then, that sly-faced fox held up an envelope with a heart-shaped sticker on it, smiled and said, "I wanted to give you something important." Inside was the pair of underwear he had stolen from the puppy, but couldn't he have put it in a paper bag or something? Instead, he put it in a pink envelope and gave it to him, creating a misunderstanding. What a weirdo. Look at Liu's face. He looks like he wants to punch him right now. The fox even put his arm around the boy's shoulder, smiled, and said, "Don't be so touched. Don't lose it again in the future, okay? Oh man. This is twisting the truth right here. What a terrible liar you are, Liu." The two were having a normal conversation. Well, not exactly normal, but this scene, through the Fujoshi goggles, of the three other girls in the room, looked like a love letter confession scene, with pink, fluffy vibes. While Bianca and Mu Chin were drooling in admiration, Mi-Tai was quickly and nimbly scribbling notes in her notebook. While the three girls were lost in their fantasies, that fox named Liu had quickly turned around, grabbed the tail, and dragged Liu away. The reason was that the break was almost over, so they had to get back to class. Liu, resigned to his fate, let himself be dragged away. He just lowered his head and sincerely promised that from now on, he would come to the club more often. "You can just throw this away." Liu gloomily put the pink envelope into his bag. He said with some irritation, "I also have something to give you." But while Liu was curious about what this little puppy was going to give him, Liu had already pulled a piece of pork out of his bag. The young man even said, "Consider this as my substitute and take it." Liu didn't understand why he was suddenly being given pork. He looked at the piece of meat and pointed at it. "This is expired." You bought something that was 55% off, so how could it not be expired? But he felt that this expired piece of meat, if you just held it and touched it, would be perfectly fine. A series of question marks flooded Liu's mind after hearing those sentences. Huh? Why do I have to go around touching pork? Since the fox didn't understand, the puppy explained it to him. Last night, he had spent all night researching the type of person who likes to touch and hug others like Liu. He must be suffering from skin hunger. From that, Liu concluded that Liu had a problem, and if there's a problem, it needs to be treated. Instead of letting Liu touch him to treat his problem, Liu decided to buy this piece of pork for him. After all, pig skin is still skin, so using it temporarily should be okay. Oh my god, this line of thinking is hilarious. Liu patiently listened to Liu's analysis and was like, loading. Still loading. Liu came to the conclusion that Liu was concerned about him. The fox cheerfully pounced on the puppy and hugged him. He petted his ears and said happily, "I'm so happy you care about me. But I don't have a problem. I just like touching this little puppy." You heard this and broke out in a sweat. So, back to the problem at hand. How do I deal with this piece of pork? Liu looked at you contemplating how to handle the meat and could only advise him, just throw it away. Whether it's thawed or not, it still expired. The puppy felt that being 1 or 2 days past the expiration date was still edible. Let's open it and see if it's gone bad inside. Liu knew he would say that, so he quickly snatched the piece of meat, wanting to dispose of it right then and there. The puppy had no other choice but to sit back at his desk and huff resentfully. What a waste of my efforts. Such a waste of food. What more could Liu say? This puppy was way too frugal. Is it because his family's financial situation isn't good? Or is his brother just that strict? Looking at the discounted pork in his hand, Liu suddenly imagined a scene where Li Yu was being beaten by his brother and forced to beg on the streets. The two brothers, dressed in rags, living in a small, ragged shack. Oh my god, this imagination is a bit too much. Li, you imagined so much that Li Yu suddenly became curious about Li Yu's family situation. So, he decided that to thank Li Yu for his good intentions, from now on, he would provide at-home tutoring for him. When Li Yu heard this, he felt like the sky was about to fall. Oh my god, how could I possibly bring a carnivorous species home to tutor me? If my brother finds out, I'm dead for sure. The next day, right on schedule, that cunning fox cheerfully ran over to Li Yu's house early in the morning, to bother him. Because his older brother despised a certain carnivore, he frowned at his little brother's sly-faced friend, and questioned in a low voice, bringing a carnivore home without saying a word, "What do you think you're doing?" Oh, the ever-so-innocent Li Yu hurriedly explained to his brother, "He's here to help me with my English tutoring. It was the teacher's idea too." I don't see how this is the teacher's idea. It seems more like this fox named Liu took it upon himself. Although he came to tutor Liu was thoughtful enough to bring a gift. The fox, grinning from ear to ear, presented the gift to the older brother. "This is just a small token of my appreciation. I hope you'll accept it." The older brother, who loathed carnivores, immediately refused upon seeing it. "Liu, you're a guest. There's no need for gifts. Take it to the room and you two can eat it yourselves." The little puppy saw that although his brother was annoyed, he hadn't kicked this sly fox out yet, so he immediately turned and pushed him into his room. He was afraid that if he waited any longer, his brother might pounce and beat the living daylights out of him. Once the two were settled at the small desk in the room, Liu pulled an ID photo from his pocket and gave it to the little puppy. "Here's what you needed. I don't have any other pictures. Only this ID photo." Liu didn't mind. After all, he was asking for a favor for someone else. He was lucky to get anything, so this would have to do. "But why do you need a photo of me? You're not planning on doing anything depraved with it, are you?" After handing over the photo, the cunning fox started acting up again. The puppy looked at him, speechless, and immediately set him straight. "Are you crazy? I'm asking for someone else." After a bit of clowning around, the two started on the homework. After a while of enthusiastic teaching, a certain little puppy was about to drown in a murky sea of knowledge. The fox, Liu, saw the little one's reaction, and could only break out in a sweat. He asked, "You don't know how to do the very first question? Is it the vocabulary you don't get? Or the sentence structure?" He realized that teaching the normal way was probably useless with the little puppy, so he prepared to teach him from the basics. Looking up words in the dictionary yourself will help you remember them longer. While the two little ones were studying diligently inside, outside, the puppy's older brother was worrying, pressing a glass to the wall to eavesdrop. After listening for a long time without hearing any commotion, the older brother figured they must really be studying. In the room, the Dayfor daughter, cunning fox, was telling the innocent little puppy to complete a similar set of exercises to help him retain the knowledge a little longer. But the look on the puppy's face right now was just pitifully miserable. Liu ignored the little puppy's complaints about too much homework. He stood up and told the little puppy to get started on the work. He himself would step out for a bit and come back to check later. He opened the door and left the room. At this point, Liu didn't know what he should do next. After thinking for a moment, he thought he should probably go say hi to the puppy's brother. "Liu is working on his problems. I'm stepping out for a moment. Is there anything I can help with?" The little fox played the part of a suck-up with great skill. He trotted over to the older brother, offering to help. The older brother, who was staunchly against carnivores, was busy washing dishes. Hearing this, he indicated it wasn't necessary. "You can just go sit in the living room, but there's no one else home to entertain you. Go sit in the living room and do what? Twiddle your thumbs." Honestly, Puppy's brother, Liu, was shooed away but still didn't leave. He even feigned innocence and asked, "Big brother, it seems you don't like me very much. Did I do something wrong?" "No, you didn't." Li Hui kept his focus on the task at hand. It seemed if he looked at the fox less, his anger would subside, and he wouldn't pounce on him. "I just don't want my little brother getting too close with carnivorous beastmen. I hope you can keep a respectful distance." The cunning fox was an expert at pretending. Even though the other person had spelled it out, he still played dumb, curiously asking why. "Aren't we both carnivorous? Compared to a fox, aren't a wolf's feral instincts more dangerous?" This fox is such a smooth talker. He knew full well the other was lying, yet he used that excuse to pick him apart. Now it was the older brother's turn to be flustered. He stammered, trying to cover it up, That's why. I don't want Liu to have any conflicts with other carnivorous beastmen, in case a fight breaks out or something. In short, just stay away from him. Liu, having teased him enough, decided to stop. Hearing that, he turned and went to the living room. Before leaving, he even said, "Oh, is that so? Don't worry, I think he'll let me have my way. We won't fight. If that's the case, I won't bother you anymore, big brother." He said that, but in his heart, the cunning fox felt a bit annoyed. Li Yu's older brother seemed to be making a mountain out of a molehill. His little brother is already a teenager, yet he's still so controlling. A moment later, the fox named Liu was wandering around the puppy's living room. After looking around for a bit, he felt the house was pretty okay. It didn't look like a family with financial difficulties. As he looked around, the fox noticed a photo frame next to a large cabinet. In front of it were flowers and an incense burner. Liu moved closer to look. He saw it was a black and white photo of a young couple. It seemed to be Li Yu's parents. Seeing the setup, the fox immediately realized it was a memorial portrait for them. Li Yu's parents looked so young in the photo. No wonder Li Hui was so overly worried about everything. Liu lowered his gaze, touching the family photo. It seemed they only had each other left. Liu turned away and sighed. The little puppy could be as innocent as he is now, perhaps because he's been so well protected by his big brother. Rarely feeling empathy for others, when Liu returned to Li Yu's room, he wore an incredibly gentle expression. He caringly asked the little puppy if he was done with his work. However, his gentle demeanor didn't last more than a few seconds. He was enraged by the scene in the room. The little puppy, who was supposed to be studying diligently, was instead lying on his back, playing on his phone, with his small legs propped up on the desk. Truly unbelievable. Li Yu, caught red-handed slacking off, could only sweat and stammer that he was studying. But yeah, right. As if any fox would believe such nonsense. The final outcome was the little puppy being forced to do his homework. His phone was also confiscated. I look away for 1 second and you're already slacking off. If you don't finish writing today, you're not going home, huh? Something seems off about that. Li Yu, being held down, reacted quickly. He immediately yelled, "Fine, I'll let you. Just hurry up and go home." That's right. This is the little puppy's house. If someone's leaving, it should be this cunning fox, Liu. He didn't say he was leaving. On the contrary, he sat down to the side and started supervising the little puppy's work. He took out the box of food he'd brought in his bag, and nagged, "Little puppy, don't look at me. Look at your paper." What could Li Yu dare say? He could only curse him as a demon in his heart. The cunning fox used the stick and carrot approach. He opened the box of pastries and placed it on the desk. All sorts of sweets immediately caught Li Yu's eye. When you use your brain, you should eat something sweet. Eat while you write. The little puppy was practically drooling, but he still commented first, "Wow, these look expensive." After saying that, the little one picked up a pastry and popped it in his mouth, chewing noisily. Before he even finished, he remarked, The taste isn't much different from when I make them." Hearing that, Liu smirked and asked, "Oh, you know how to bake?" The little puppy proudly wagged his tail. "Of course. Cookies are a piece of cake. I've been helping in the kitchen since I was tiny. I'm amazing, you know." If he hadn't eaten, it might have been better. Once he started eating, the puppy started acting up. He whined while chewing. "Oh man, using my brain and my mouth at the same time feels even more tiring." The fox was at a complete loss. "Why do you hate English so much anyway?" "I don't really hate it. It's because when I was little, my school in the countryside didn't have English. So when I got to middle school, I couldn't keep up at all." Li Yu replied while munching on a pastry. As a result, the pastry he bit in half fell onto his workbook. Liu, from the side, only had time to say, "If it falls, throw it out. Don't pick it up," before the little puppy had already scooped up the piece and put it in his mouth. He's really something else. This behavior of Li Yu's, in Liu's eyes, turned into the little one being overly frugal. He felt a bit of a headache coming on. He rubbed his forehead, not knowing what to say. Finally, he asked, "Is this because of your past living situation?" Li Yu continued to chew his pastry. He chewed and calmly replied, "No need to be so tactful. My family was poor when I was little, so I'm used to it." Just as he finished answering, the cunning fox appeared behind him. The little puppy, immediately on guard, asked, "What are you trying to do? It seems I can't completely blame you for being a dummy, puppy. You poor little country boy." Liu crouched down and hugged Li Yu's head, petting it and shedding a single pitying crocodile tear. This act of feigned sympathy from him successfully made the little puppy furious, but Liu paid no mind to the little one's anger. After comforting and petting the puppy's head, he casually pulled him into his arms. He said righteously, "Let me help you check your answers." Who the heck checks answers while clinging to someone like that? This fox is a real pervert. The cunning fox, while holding him, was also correcting the homework. At this moment, who knows if Li Yu was even listening, as his face was already covered in sweat. After explaining for a while, the fox's hands started to get restless. The little puppy quickly grabbed his hand. He turned his head away, blushing and annoyed, and said, "Can you just teach properly?" Liu opened his mouth just to tease his classmate, groping him, yet acting as if nothing was wrong. "Oh, you're starting to enjoy studying now, huh? But right now, I'm more interested in my payment." Hurry up and fix this sentence correctly. His mouth told him to correct the work, but his naughty hands were groping like that. How could anyone concentrate on correcting their work? That sly, cunning fox. That fox isn't just sly. He's also a dirty player, hugging and groping him all over, forcing him to do homework while being distracted, to prevent him from reverting to his original form. He really deserves a beating, only good at bullying the little puppy. Right in his own home, Liu was still up to his old tricks, taking advantage of him. Taking advantage of the little puppy, he fondled Liu until he was red all over, trembling and unable to think a single damn thing. Anyone would get pissed off being groped so much. The little puppy turned his head, gritting his teeth. "You damn perverted bastard. I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me?" Of course he wasn't scared. Not only was Liu not scared, he even licked his lips excitedly, as if to show he could be even more of a pervert. "You dare use that tone with me? Looks like I'll have to teach you a lesson, huh?" He said something like that. Who knows what he's planning to do next? The older brother is still outside, and that fox is bullying his precious little brother. Will the older brother find out and beat that fox to a pulp? Ugh, I can't do it. Liu trembled all over, his words coming out in spurts. Who knows what he's doing now, but the little guy is biting his lower lip, sweating so miserably. From the side, Liu narrowed his foxy eyes. He clapped his hands. His voice was full of insinuation. "Giving up already? Weren't you so cocky just a moment ago? So, do you like the test Daddy gave you? Hurry up and write." Liu gloated, slapping the rolled-up test in his hand. He urged him on while taking pleasure in his suffering. Just so you know, they were only studying. For those of you with dirty minds, you were probably thinking of all sorts of things, weren't you? Hee, little puppy Liu trembled all over. Unable to shed a tear, he wailed. This kind of force-fed education will never work. Actually, he hadn't even been forced to do anything yet. But this kid was already screaming his head off about studying. "Is it really that hard, Liu?" The little puppy answered instantly. "Studying is a goddamn pain. Puppy wants to rest. Puppy wants to play on his phone." Liu went on strike, lying flat on the floor. He had plenty of energy to roll around, but when it came to doing homework, he truly had none. He fussed for a while. The little puppy saw the light above him suddenly get blocked. He cracked open an eye to look. Then he saw Liu's big face right in front of him. A puppy showing its belly like this means it wants a belly rub, right? The fox named Liu is starting to get mischievous. Why does this crafty fox love taking advantage of others so much? Oh, little puppy. What kind of suggestive pose is that? Might as well go in for a kiss, ha ha ha. Good puppy, good puppy. Liu didn't waste words. He pressed down on Liu and immediately started rubbing the little guy's belly. He even cooed as he rubbed, acting as if he were actually petting a dog. Liu was absolutely furious. The moment I let my guard down, this fox starts taking advantage of me again. The little puppy gritted his teeth and yelled, "Why do you always do such weird things?" Being yelled at, Liu wasn't the least bit angry. On the contrary, he replied with perfect logic. "This is all your fault, for being so defenseless in front of a predator." What a sly fox. At that moment, the sly fox was feeling quite pleased, drooling. As the fox touched him, it wasn't just the puppy who blushed, the fox blushed too. Liu felt that being touched this time was different from the others. This time, having his stomach touched felt strange. Of course, it's different in human form than in animal form, my dear puppy. Annoyed, Liu turned, grabbed Liu's head, and pushed him away. He was angry, so he pushed hard, but Liu barely moved. The little puppy got scared. He had to grit his teeth and say, "Let go, hurry up, or else Gege might hear us." Even after he said that, the cunning fox behind him wouldn't listen. He even took the opportunity, while the puppy was defenseless, to slide a hand under his shirt. He grabbed the little puppy's chin, and with perfect logic, said, "It'll be fine as long as you don't make a sound. Want me to help you?" Help with what? Help cover his mouth so he can't cry out? Truly, a treacherous fox. But as it turns out, you can cover anyone's mouth, but not a member of the puppy family. Why? Because you'll get bitten. That's why. Liu's mouth was covered, so he couldn't make a sound, but he could still open his mouth to bite someone. So he bit down hard, without a moment's hesitation. One bite made the fox behind him suck in a sharp breath of pain. Serves him right for always bullying his friend. You're acting way too out of line. If you do that again, I'll get really angry. You damn pervert. Liu flipped over with all his might. He was angrily yelling at Liu, but this position, pinning the other person down, was just as suggestive as the one from before, little puppy. Liu didn't say anything at first, but after a moment of silence, he was back to his teasing ways. "But you look like you're enjoying it, don't you?" After saying that, his naughty hand reached behind Liu's butt and touched the little puppy's tail, making him jump. He quickly yelled, "Don't touch my tail." Just then, the bedroom door opened. His older brother pushed the door and walked in. He even kindly asked, "Do you need a break for some water?" Before he could finish his sentence, his brother was struck speechless by the scene before him. "Ah, my good little brother, what kind of game is this you're playing, bringing a boy home? This doesn't look like studying. Gege, please grab a broom and beat that fox Liu to death." At that moment, Liu and Liu were at a loss for words. They probably couldn't explain this even if they tried. How could they explain? They were in a compromising position, touching butts and grabbing shirts. On top of that, the little puppy's face was beet red. It was incredibly embarrassing. It made Liu go poof and transform on the spot. Liu didn't even have time to react. The boy on top of him was now just a pile of clothes. The older brother, still in shock from seeing his little brother fooling around with a man, was now faced with this scene. He could only raise his voice and shout, "Xiao Yayu, what's going on?" After shouting, Gege lunged into the room as fast as lightning. He snatched his brother and the pile of clothes from Liu's hands and conveniently landed a punch on the devilish fox's head. Then he quickly lifted the blanket and stuffed his brother, who had turned into a puppy, inside. Li Hui looked at the little furball, squirming in the blanket and panicked. Thankfully, he acted fast. What is this situation? If this fox-like kid sees his animal form, how can we keep up the act? Gege was scared, but he had no idea that his little brother's secret had been discovered long ago. You, get out here. My brother transformed, so I can't deal with him. So first, I'll find a way to vent my anger, and then we'll talk. With that thought, the little puppy's brother grabbed the fox's ear and dragged him outside. You're in for it now. Liu's ear was pulled so hard he thought he would faint, but he didn't dare resist. He could only obediently let Li Yu's older brother drag him out of the bedroom. The door slammed shut. Only then did Li Yu crawl out from under the blanket. He wondered if he was doomed this time. The little puppy was worried sick. What would Gege and Liu talk about? Will they be honest with each other? But then again, maybe Liu can trick his way out of it? Oh God. This is so frustrating. My puppy brain isn't big enough to figure this out. This is the second time now. The more the little puppy thought about that scene, the more he blushed. After all, why is it so easy for that bastard to mess with my emotions? Hehe. An innocent young boy is naturally susceptible to a veteran's seduction. Little puppy, I'd better transform back quickly. If I wait too long, Liu's life might be in danger. Already, thumping sounds could be heard from outside, along with his brother's scolding. Startled, Li Yu shot to his feet. They're not fighting, are they? The little dog closed his eyes and concentrated, wanting to quickly return to human form. Poof! He transformed back. Quick, get dressed and go see what's happening. In the living room, a scene of a dog chasing a fox was unfolding. The older brother, holding a broom, was chasing after the delinquent fox, Li Yu, wanting to beat him to death. Hey, didn't you say you came here to study? Then what were you doing just now? Call your parents and get them over here now. I need to talk to them about this. Haha, call his parents and make them take responsibility, big brother. This fox is such a scoundrel. He needs a good beating to learn his lesson. Liu ran for his life in the living room, fox fur flying everywhere. He explained as he scrambled away. Sir, please listen to me. Can you please put down the weapon first? Of course not. I haven't even hit you yet. So why would I put it down? Hey. Li Hui had originally planned to chase this fox for a few more laps, but just then, his little brother ran out. Li Yu hurriedly explained, "Brother, don't be like this. Just now. We were just. What were we doing? Wait, let me think of an excuse." Gege was grabbing and pulling Liu's fluffy tail. If Li Yu doesn't think of a reason, quickly, this fox is going to have his tail plucked. Wrestling. That's right. We were just wrestling. And I was winning too. It was a critical moment when you came in and startled me. And that's why. Why what? The little puppy didn't explain clearly, but his brother understood. He was startled, so he turned back into a puppy. If his brother hadn't come in, the two of them might have wrestled their way onto the bed. Gege listened with great suspicion. He kept holding the broomstick, eyeing Liu skeptically. Really? For the sake of his silky fur, Liu reacted very quickly. He enthusiastically backed up the story. Yes. Besides, he even bit me. As expected of the wolf tribe. Huh? I'm no match for Xiao Yayu at all. That's what Liu said, anyway. In reality, he got bitten because he was being a pervert. The punishment fit the crime. However, Gege didn't know about this. So even though he was annoyed, all he could do was watch as his brother saw the cunning fox out the door. But before leaving, Liu glanced at a cabinet in the living room. He noticed a photo of Liu's parents had been knocked face down. He gently stood the frame back up. In a rare moment of seriousness, he said, "I'm sorry for causing a ruckus at your house, and in front of your parents, no less." Liu didn't mind. He just said, "It's okay. My brother is the main problem." Lil Yayu was worried, but Liu turned back to him and said, "It wasn't very clear from the childhood photo, but with you standing here now, I realize you look a lot like your parents." Hearing this, Yu Yayu was a little surprised. The little guy rubbed his head shyly and said, "Really?" No matter how much they chatted, it was time to leave. Li Yayu saw Liu out. He thanked his classmate for taking the trouble to come tutor him today. Little did the puppy know, this fox had come with a motive. He mainly wanted to see if the little puppy was being oppressed by his brother, as he had imagined. Of course, Liu wouldn't tell Li Yayu any of this. He just turned his head and said, "Why the sudden formality? I'm heading home. Goodbye." After seeing one nuisance off, Liu finally let out a sigh of relief. He closed the door, thinking to himself, maybe Liu isn't so bad after all. Oh no, puppy, don't be foolish enough to trust that fox. He'll eat you up, bones and all. A moment later, Liu was lounging on the sofa when he received a message. It was from Liu, telling him he had arrived home safely. Lil Yayu read the message and thought, who asked you to report to me? The little dog was very displeased, but on the other side of the screen, someone was pretending to be even more hurt, even more upset than he was. But every word that fox named Liu sent was dripping with manipulation. What kind of act is this? Shouldn't you repay me for what I went through today? After reading the message, Liu didn't know how to reply. Suddenly, he looked up and saw the villain in the movie roar a line. Confess. With heinous crimes like yours, what else is there to do? And so, the little puppy had an immediate reply to send to the fox on the other end. After reading that, Liu was completely confused. We were just having a normal conversation, and suddenly you're calling my crimes heinous? What's that about? It's okay if you don't understand. Liu felt he should just stick to his own script, thinking that the cunning fox texted, didn't you say you're a good cook? Then for lunch tomorrow, I want a bento box made by you. After sending that, he sent another demonic threatening line. If not, I'll eat you for lunch instead, little puppy. The little puppy texted back, thinking resentfully, why did I ever think this guy was a good person? What a mistake. The next morning, Gege had just woken up and gone down to the kitchen. When he saw his little brother, his little pup, already busy making a bento box, Li Hui gasped in surprise. Hey, you're up early making a bento box. Haha, if Gege knew the little pup was making a bento for Liu, I wonder how mad he'd be, huh? Liu was so sleepy his eyes could barely stay open. Busy waking up early to make a bento, and it's not even for himself. Ugh, this little pup's fate is just unbearably miserable. The little pup was drowsy and out of it. But still, the way he sprinkled the seaweed was quite professional. The little guy sprinkled the seaweed while thinking, I can't make it this convenient for that fox named Liu. I wondered what he meant by not convenient. Turns out, he was trying to shape the seaweed into a pile of poop. But no matter how you look at it, it looks more like a Christmas tree. Oh, Liu, the little pup doesn't think it looks like that at all. Basically, as long as you can tell it's crap, that's good enough. The devil in his heart. Li, you chuckled sinisterly. He rubbed his hands together, pleased with himself. With the rice shaped like this, let's see if he still dares to eat it. Li Hui looked at his little brother standing there, smiling foolishly at the bento box, and reminded him with concern, what are you grinning foolishly for? If you keep dawdling, you'll be late for school. Little pup. Only then did Liu hurriedly close the bento box and stuff it into a bag. He hastily got ready to go to school. Seeing the little guy rush out without even cleaning up the kitchen, Li Hui, feeling sorry for his brother, had to call out with a reminder, if you're running late, take a car. Be careful on the way, don't fall. Li, you didn't have time to answer his brother. He was dashing down the stairs. While running, the little guy was also busy slinging his backpack strap over his neck. What rotten luck. As he was putting on the strap, the string tying the lunch bag slipped from his hand. Then, the bento box tumbled down the stairs. It finally came to a stop, motionless on the floor. The little pup frantically ran down to pick up the lunch. Luckily, he had closed the lid tightly, so the food inside didn't spill out. But the little pup thought, the food inside must have been mixed into a big mess. Oh well, whatever. It's not for me to eat anyway, so why should I care? Liu nonchalantly picked up the bag containing the bento box. He even leisurely swung it around a few times in the air. Consider this, a lesson for Liu, for the crime of oppressing and exploiting a little pup. Time flew by, and soon it was lunchtime. After class ended, a crowd of students gathered to go to the cafeteria to eat. Liu stealthily carried the food over to where Liu was. He heard that cunning fox laugh and wave to his friends, indicating that he wouldn't be having lunch with them today. Li, you saw this and pouted in disdain. This fox is good for nothing but acting. The pup was really annoyed, but since he had already made the lunch, he had no choice. As Liu thought that, he resentfully slammed the heated bento box down on the table for Liu. Then he saw the cunning fox smile at him, and even say he was touched by the pup's thoughtfulness. It really made him want to punch him. Liu watched Liu turn to leave and asked, bewildered, huh? You only prepared lunch for me? The little pup turned back and replied resentfully, just one portion was troublesome enough. Besides, I want to eat with Hong. That's right, so you can just sit here and eat alone. Don't bother me anymore. The pup said that, but the fox acted as if he didn't understand, resting his chin on his hand and saying, what a hassle. In consideration of your obedience, I'll make an exception and reveal this to you. There's an English test this afternoon, so hurry up and review. I'm quite looking forward to the results of your tutoring. Don't look forward to it, Liu wanted to say. But, before he could open his mouth, Hong, standing in the distance, waved and called out to him. And so, the little guy had no choice but to put the matter aside. Liu watched that fluffy tail turn away for a long moment. Only then did he start to open the bento box. If he hadn't opened it, it would have been fine, but when the cunning fox opened it, he was completely shocked. Oh my god, the little pup actually made lunch, and even went to the trouble of shaping it into a heart for him. Is this some kind of joke today? That's right. It was a joke of creation. The person clearly made a poop shape, but after tumbling down the stairs, it turned into a heart. So surreal. It must be fate. At that moment, Liu was bewildered by that lovesick heart for a while. Then he stopped caring and just focused on eating. But he didn't notice his surroundings. That doesn't mean others weren't noticing him, especially the 3 girls from the art club. The moment they saw Liu, they started pointing at each other. Meanwhile, Liu was still savoring the taste of the food made by Li Yu. After a few bites, he judged internally. He's really a good cook. What a capable little pup. Over here, the girls saw this scene and started whispering to each other. See that? Liu is eating a love bento. That's right. A super big heart. Was it made by his girlfriend? Huh? Since when did he have a girlfriend? There they go. These little gossips have too much free time at school, so they're always digging for dirt on the boys. Hong's older sister didn't know when Liu got a girlfriend. They don't know, but maybe the little pup Li Yu knows, so they ganged up to find Li Yu and investigate. Meanwhile, Hong and Li Yu were in line waiting to get food. Seeing his friend looking down and unhappy, Hong immediately asked with concern, "What's wrong with you?" Li Yu sighed a dozen long sighs. This pup doesn't like to study, so why are there always tests all the time? It's really exhausting, Hong. Hearing his friend complain about the test, the English one, he leaned in and whispered, "Hey, how about I pass you the answers?" Li's first thought, after hearing this, wasn't "I can't do that." Instead, he thought, the English teacher is a very strict proctor. I'm afraid it'll be impossible to pass them. My God, what level of laziness is this? Li Yu, your friend offers to pass you answers and you just accept it? Haha. But for Hong, this kind of thing is easy. The little guy proudly boasted to his friend, "It's simple. We just use signals and everything will be okay. When the time comes, just watch my hands. Like this. Like this." Both ears up means choose answer A. Left ear down, the answer is B. Right ear down, the answer is C. Both ears down, the answer is D. Wow, that sounds pretty logical. Having a pair of ears is quite useful, huh? Good thing the questions only have 4 options. If it went up to 5 or 7 or something, I wonder if those ears would still be usable. Haha. Li Yu thought his friend's idea was genius. He suddenly became much more confident. He wasn't worried about this afternoon anymore. While Li Yu was trusting in the cheating method and the academic ability of his classmate Hong, the little guy's sister had already snuck up from behind. It's lunchtime, but these girls aren't eating. They rushed over and grabbed the little pup, leaving Hong completely confused. Gossiping instead of eating, only girls would do that. Li Yu was pulled to a nearby corner and surrounded by the 3 girls, who bombarded him with questions. Hey, Li Yu, do you know who Liu is dating? And was the person who brought the bento today his girlfriend? And is she a girl from our class? They insisted. Li Yu's brain couldn't keep up with this line of thinking. Wait a second. The pup needs to connect the dots. These girls are really nosy. Who someone dates is their business. Why are they so concerned? Li Yu processed for a moment. In the end, he still didn't get it. What does the bento he made have to do with Liu having a girlfriend? The little pup had to give up. He could only scratch his head in confusion and answer, he's never mentioned having a girlfriend to me. Besides, I'm the one who made that bento. This wasn't the little pup bragging. He was just telling the truth. But just that was enough to make the girls scream. The 3 girls started huddling together to gossip. They're dating. So, is this a declaration of sovereignty? But isn't he a wolf? They're the same gender, and both carnivores. Won't their pheromones clash? But Liu gave him a love letter before. The 3 of them gossiped as they walked away, leaving Li Yu standing alone, utterly bewildered. What was all that about? It made no sense at all. I have no idea what's going on. The little pup didn't understand, so he didn't want to think about it. He quickly ate and went back to class. That afternoon, there was indeed an English test. Li Yu, with the help of Hong's wolf ears, successfully completed the test. 5:10 after class. Li Yu and Liu were walking. As they walked, they both felt that the students around them were staring. They were even whispering behind their backs. Li Yu, bewildered, asked first, "Why do I feel like since this afternoon, the atmosphere around us has been weird?" Liu agreed. He pointed to his own face and turned to ask the pup, "Yeah, is there something on my face?" Of course, there was nothing on Liu's face, but the rumors were spreading more and more widely. After the 2 of them were out of sight, the other students started pointing at them and gossiping. "Have you heard? That new transfer student is dating Liu." "Oh really? Is that true?" Hearing this rumor, needless to say, it was the 3 gossips from the art club spreading nonsense. There they go, spreading rumors without knowing anything. Geez, this group of girls is such a pain. Li, you didn't know people were gossiping behind his back about him dating Liu. He had just returned to the classroom and saw his classmates handing out the English tests. He was startled. The little guy dashed to his seat. Then he saw the test paper on his desk. The score written on it was a 60. The little pup was so happy and excited he was about to cry. He even cheered, "I passed." It was all thanks to Hong. As for Hong, he cheated so much for his friend that even though the teacher didn't catch him, but His cute ears were cramping so badly they were all wrinkled. But oh well, a cramp, in exchange for helping his friend was fine. Liu arrived later, so he didn't hear the thanks. Li, you said to Hong. He saw the little pup looking cheerful and smug and got curious. He asked, why are you so happy? What score did you get? Liu was very proud this time. He coolly held out his 60-point test for Liu to see. After looking at it, the fox simply commented, just barely passed. Li, you heard this and thought he was being praised. The little pup's tail even wagged furiously. Then he heard Liu throw a bucket of cold water on him. I wasn't praising you. Liu took Liu's test paper, and then took Hong's to compare. The more he looked at the two tests, the more annoyed he became. Quite a few corrections. Moreover, some questions were initially correct but were changed to be wrong. With a little comparison, one could see that the similarity of the answers to Hong's paper was very high. Li, you didn't think he would spot the problem just by looking at the two tests. He panicked, his mouth agape, and tried to explain, it's absolutely not, that Hong passed me the answers. Saying that is no different from indirectly admitting that Hong passed him the answers. Liu was extremely angry. He leaned in close to Liu and asked unhappily, why did you have to cheat? Liu was terrified and could only stammer in reply, because I was afraid that if I didn't improve, you'd get angry. The two were busy with their squabble, and didn't notice the other students in the class pointing in their direction again. Liu didn't care who was watching at this point. He narrowed his sly eyes, growing more and more annoyed. Doing this makes me even angrier. But inside, Liu was truly filled with raging anger. This little pup would rather trust someone else's answers than believe the knowledge he taught. Or in other words, in Liu's heart, Hong was much more trustworthy than him. Hehe, of course he is. One is a good friend, and the other is a professional bully. How could he possibly trust him? Teacher Liu was so angry that it wasn't just Liu who was scared. Hong in the back was also terrified. The little guy clasped his hands and looked at Liu in panic, wanting to explain a little. Liu, actually, I was the one who offered to pass him the answers. Please don't tell the teacher. He was begging for mercy. But, as soon as Liu turned his ice-cold face towards him, the little guy was so scared his hair stood on end. Oh my goodness, so scary. Hong wasn't even done being scared when Liu clapped him on the shoulder, making the poor guy jump. If you're really thinking of Liu, then don't do this again in the future, okay? Liu smiled very friendly at Hong, but this smile made Hong even more scared. After dealing with the one who passed the answers, Liu now turned back to deal with the next one. He grabbed Liu's collar, giving the little guy no chance to resist, and said, after school, don't you run off. We're starting intensive tutoring now. No, I want to go home. Let me go, Liu yelled. But now, no one could help him anymore. His best friend? He was still scared out of his wits by Liu. It seemed this was the first time Hong had seen such a terrifying expression on Liu. As expected of the academic representative, he really loved studying. 4 p.m. that afternoon. After the whole class had gone home, Liu was still being held back by Liu for extra lessons. The little guy did his work on one side, while on the other, he unfocusedly looked out the window, letting out a long sigh. Liu thought to himself, I had already planned to go to the comic book store with Ah Hong after school. The pup's sigh was too obvious. He was paying even less attention to his studies, causing Liu, who was playing on his phone next to him, to criticize him immediately. Focus. If you want to go home, then hurry up and do your work. Isn't it just checking the answers? If you don't know why it's wrong, then ask. Liu was very grumpy about being forced to study. Hearing Liu rush him made the little guy even grumpier. He immediately shouted loudly, You're around me all day. School's over. Don't you have anything else to do? Don't you have any friends? The little pup's tone was quite harsh. His words weren't easy on the ears, but Liu still replied nonchalantly, let's just say I don't have any friends. Hearing that, Liu laughed triumphantly. He pointed at Liu and mocked. Ha, it's because you always have that fake serious face. That's why you don't have any friends. Looks like pretending to be a good person is useless. You phony. Tisk tisk tisk. The little pup is very bold today, daring to run his mouth in front of a predator. Oh. But while he was scolding enthusiastically, he suddenly saw Liu push himself up from the desk. Li, you immediately shut up. Liu's face no longer had its usual carefree look. He stared at Liu unhappily. Oh, you really know how to hit a sore spot. The little pup is all talk. The moment he saw Liu's scary face, he got scared. He quickly and fearfully apologized in a trembling voice. After taunting the guy, Li, you even thought, I can't believe Liu actually got angry. What kind of sarcastic talk was that? Who wouldn't get angry at that, Liu? Since he apologized, Liu wasn't angry anymore. Now he even gave a fake smile and took the opportunity to pat Liu's head, saying, See? I just put on a cold face and you got scared immediately. Hey, you really don't get how things work at all. Being fake is the most basic survival skill in society, my young friend. Liu had his head patted, and heard Liu say those things, which made him feel more and more scared of this cunning fox. But he had no choice. The guy is not only a predator, but he also knows his secret. He didn't dare to oppose him. Although he didn't dare scold Liu anymore, Yu still wanted to express his own views on life. He looked at the fox sitting down in the opposite chair, and suddenly stammered, But, to make friends, you have to be sincere. The little pup said that, but Liu wasn't very interested, and cut him off with a casual laugh, saying, I'm not interested in making friends. I just need to maintain my image in front of others. Being a good person like that is enough. A good person in quotation marks. That must be really good, huh? Liu was at a loss. The little pup had a bewildered expression, with nothing left to say. In his heart, he silently cursed Liu for being a weirdo. A person who has to wear a mask like that every day. Isn't it tiring? So young and already two-faced. Of course, Liu only dared to think that. He wouldn't dare to voice any other opinion. He pushed the corrected homework towards Liu. As he packed his things into his school bag, he said, I hope that you can also be a truly good person in front of me. Ah, look, I corrected everything this time. Is that okay? Can I go home now? Oh, that's very fast progress. Who knows if Liu even glanced at his classmates' work or was just giving a perfunctory compliment. So you can go home now. The fox said that, then suddenly stood up and pulled down the window curtains. Liu, holding his school bag, was about to go home, but when he saw him suddenly pull the curtains, he had no idea what was going on. No need to understand, little pup. Just run. This fox is about to make a move on you. Liu was completely unaware of the malicious intent. The little guy even asked bewilderedly, do we have to pull the curtains after school now, or something? Haha, what an innocent little pup. That's why when the cunning fox closed in on him, the pup got scared. What are you trying to do now? Nothing, my friend. Liu was like, I just want to collect a little payment. Hearing that tone of voice, Liu knew right away that it wouldn't be easy to escape this time. He quickly backed a meter away from Liu, but even though he backed away, the school bag he was hugging was still grabbed by the cunning fox. Liu, out of options, tried to make an excuse. This is a classroom. The teachers might not have left yet. They could come back at any moment. In response to Liu's worried tone, was an extremely calm fox. Liu said, Don't worry, my friend. I locked the door a long time ago. Damn. So he came prepared. This time, there's no escape for the little pup. Li, you really couldn't escape. How big was the classroom? He could only run around the room. Besides, before he could even start running, Liu's hand had already wrapped around his waist and pulled him back. This time, the little pup fell into the fox's mouth again. The cunning fox's hand moved from his waist down to his hip and then down to the butt of the little pup. Of course, he had no intention of touching Liu's butt. What he wanted to touch was the base of the little pup's tail. This fox Liu is such a pervert. He could touch anywhere else, but he always goes for the sensitive spots. This is called harassment, you know? Liu was being harassed, but the little guy couldn't resist. He could only grip Liu's shirt tightly, pulling it taut. His whole body stiffened, his hair standing on end. Liu found his pup classmate's reaction very interesting. He whispered as he reached out to stroke the other's tail. While stroking it, he even said, Oh, are you getting used to it already? I'm touching the base of your tail like this, but you still haven't turned into a puppy. Damn. Li, you heard this and got angry. Does this sly fox really have a thing for seeing others reveal their true form or something? The little pup's face flushed red from having his tail stroked. He was so embarrassed, but he didn't dare open his mouth. Liu was afraid that if he opened his mouth, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from moaning. He himself was also wondering why he hadn't turned back into a puppy yet, thinking about the possibility that his body was starting to build a certain tolerance to the fox's touch. Liu just wanted to log out of Earth. Damn it. Why aren't useful abilities increasing, but useless abilities like this are? How could the little pup not be discouraged with life? On one side, Liu was focused on hugging and stroking the other's tail, but the one being harassed, the little pup, was currently having a serious existential crisis. Do our dog tribe, by any chance, have no dignity to speak of? As long as someone pets us, whether it's someone we like or hate, will we always enjoy it to death like this? The little pup was truly speechless with his own kind. He thought the pup tribe had no dignity. But why not consider that it's because he himself likes being touched by Liu? Haha. Liu petted the little pup until his face was bright red, but he himself was also getting high on it, his own face turning red. The more he touched, the more satisfying it felt. Although he didn't know what was so satisfying, he could feel the scent emanating from. Liu was much stronger today. It was completely that soft, tender apple pie type. The more the cunning fox thought about it, the more excited he got. The more he smelled Liu's scent, the more intoxicated he felt. The hand that was stroking the little pup's tail gradually moved up to the upper part of his hand. Look at this ambiguous situation. Look, doesn't it look like they're about to get aroused and kiss? For God's sake, they're still students. Li, you didn't know if his current state was right or wrong. The little pup only knew that Liu's scent was also too strong, making it a bit hard for him to breathe. The pup gripped the cunning fox's sleeve tightly and whispered, Can you retract your scent a little? What's there to be so excited about? Poor Li. You asked him to retract his pheromones, but the more Liu touched the little pup, the more unbearably excited he became. How could he possibly retract his scent? Li Yu became redder and redder. His face looked as if he were drunk on Liu's pheromones. While sweating with pleasure, the little pup thought, Liu's scent is becoming more and more oppressive. Even though dogs and foxes don't form a food chain, I feel like I'm about to be suffocated by this black tea scent. Li Yu was completely helpless. He kept talking, but Liu wouldn't listen, so the little pup used the last of his strength to push away the overly excited guy. He even tried to shout in a high voice, "Are you listening to me?" It would be strange if Liu could hear anything right now. Look at his face. Doesn't it look like he's about to go into heat? Like he's craving something he can't have. Oh God, don't scare the pup. The fox and pup are still young, just students. Don't scare friend Liu. This was probably the first time he'd seen Liu make a face like this, so he was also very panicked. Although his own face was also bright red, he still had to call out loudly to snap Liu out of it. Hey Liu, that's right, you have to yell that loudly for the cunning fox to come to his senses. Otherwise, he would have drowned in the fragrant apple pie scent of his pup classmate. Oh, huh? Liu jolted, waking up from his daze. Then he saw Li Yu standing in front of him with disheveled clothes. The cunning fox held his head in frustration. He didn't expect that just by wanting to tease the little guy a bit, he himself would fall into it and be unable to get out. Could it be because his heat is coming soon? A little more carelessness, and he would have. Would have what? Liu didn't dare to think further. He only knew that at this moment, he had confirmed that as a fox, he was very easily affected mentally by Li Yu's scent. Isn't this a match made in heaven? But you're still young, Liu. Focus on your studies. Focus on your studies, okay? Liu held his face and thought for a long time, suppressing the anxiety in his heart. He then patted the head of the still frightened Li Yu next to him to comfort him. Sorry, I was just too focused on the little pup's ears. They're so soft and long, just like paw pads. Liu said this while laughing. Haha. While laughing, he sniffed the air, and then he declared, your pheromones have faded. Such a sensitive emotional switch. Huh? Huh? The more Li Yu listened, the angrier he got. Does this fox even know what he's saying? After doing something indecent to someone, what kind of attitude is that? The little pup really wanted to jump on him and smack his head. The little pup wanted to do that, but Liu had already turned around and put on his jacket, getting ready to go home. So Li Yu couldn't find an excuse to punch him. Li Yu looked confusedly at Liu, who had his back to him. He knew Liu was acting weird today, but the pup couldn't understand why. Just as the little pup was dazed, he heard Liu say, that's enough for today. Just that was satisfying enough. Liu turned his head and threw his concern for Liu into the trash. Instead, the pup started to mourn his own fate. I'm not pure anymore. Sobi. The little pup was pitiful, but Liu didn't see it that way. According to him, it's not yet time for the little pup to say that line. Ah, what do you mean by that, you cunning fox? Are you planning to do something more than this in the future? So you're telling the pup to save that line for the future? Truly terrifying. Haha, Li Yu is such a naive, life-loving pup. He was sad just a moment ago. But as soon as he left the classroom, the little guy immediately started skipping happily. No matter what, he was about to go home. It would be strange if the pup wasn't happy. Liu was standing there locking the door. Seeing Li Yu grinning from ear to ear left him speechless. Is it necessary to be like that? Do you hate studying that much? It's not that the little pup dislikes studying. He mainly dislikes studying with Liu. The pup has no interest in having him by his side all the time. The little guy even angrily called Liu a jerk, calling him that is getting off easy. Because a certain fox is very thick-skinned, being cursed at, he still acted as if it were perfectly reasonable, saying, you brought it all on yourself. My goodness, such a smooth talker. Time went on like that. The next day, the little pup and the cunning fox still went to school together, ate together. Wherever they went, there were people gossiping about the recent rumors about them. From the two of them are dating, to what's this? Mala students, both carnivores, can they really fall in love? Blah blah. In short, none of the words were nice or positive. Li Yu didn't know people were shipping him and Liu. He just felt that from yesterday until now, wherever he went, people were staring at him. He didn't know if it was an illusion. The pup was still wondering about being stared at, when his attention was immediately captured by the pastry Liu held out in front of him. Liu handed the little guy an apple black tea pastry, and, in a sudden act of kindness, said it was for him to eat. This made Liu very confused. The little pup picked up the pastry. Looking at the packaging with both apple and black tea, he had to comment, what a weird combination. Hee, eating apple pie and drinking black tea is a match made in heaven. How is that weird, pup? Liu wasn't angry that the pastry he bought was criticized. Instead, he smiled and said it was a new product. Try it. The two were still discussing the pastry, when suddenly a student from behind called out to Liu. Liu turned his head to look. He heard the person relaying a message. The head of the grade is telling the class presidents and academic representatives of each class to go get a notice related to the upcoming autumn trip. Ah, okay, I'll go right now, Liu replied to his classmate. Then he turned his head to tell Li "You little pup, you go back to class first." The little pup saw that it was none of his business, so he obediently went back to class. On his way upstairs, suddenly, Liu overheard some students sitting and gossiping with each other. First, he heard someone say, "Why? Is Liu dating the new transfer student? I don't believe it." When Liu heard it was related to Liu, he perked up his ears to listen. Then the others said, "So many people pursued Liu before, but they all failed in the end. I heard that guy named Liu is the one unilaterally clinging to Liu. He even gave him a love bento. They're both carnivores, and the same gender. I don't know where he gets that confidence. Someone like him dares? He's fundamentally not worthy of Liu at all, as if they think they're worthy. Not to mention it's clearly not like that. But even if it were true, what right do they have to approve or not? The jealous type are only good at talking behind people's backs. The little pup stood by the stairs, suddenly hearing the shocking news that he was pursuing Liu. He was stunned. What the heck are these people talking about? The pup felt like he had been struck by lightning. It was clearly false, but they spoke as if it were true. After hearing this, Liu's head was covered in sweat. He was clearly forced to make a bento for the cunning fox, but in the mouths of the gossipy students, it became the little pup clinging to him and proactively making a love bento for Liu. Before he didn't know, but that's fine. Now that he knows, how will the little pup explain it? And when Liu finds out, how will things turn out?